Hey, y'all, what is good here? It is your host for this episode, the showrunner. We're just switching it up just a little bit here, as I'll be the showrunner for this week, but you will still hear from Coach V and Gino as well, because we had a huge slate of games this past weekend. We did have the Reinhardt Invitational, actually, where a ton of teams from both the KCAC and the Sun Conference participated here, and lots of very interesting matchups and huge shockwaves being created in our power rankings. But before I get into all of those, we did have some games on Wednesday the 13th, and then we also had a game that was outside of the Invitational on the Sunday, I want to say, which would be St. Patrick's Day. So happy late St. Patrick's Day to all of our listeners here. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hop into Wednesday's games. Now, while all three games, did start here Mountain Time at 5 o'clock here, they are all KCAC matchups, and so I'm just going to do them in the order that I watched them here. And the very first game that I actually watched was Kansas Wesleyan versus Baker here. Kansas Wesleyan coming into this game undefeated, actually, and Baker looking to make some noise. They have gotten pretty hot recently, and so, I knew that this was going to be a fun matchup, and I actually got to watch this with Coach V as well, and boy, did it live up to the hype. But it would be a slow start for Baker to start this game, as they do go 3 and out on their very first possession here. Kansas Wesleyan looking to continue to roll in this season that has been so electric and dynamic for them. And, while they do return that initial punt all the way to the 37-yard line here and setting up first down and 3, we start off with a great play by their quarterback here, Chihiro, who is somehow evading a couple of flagpoles and gets a first down to the other side of midfield. Now, there is a great strike down the middle, but it is eventually dropped here. And then on the next play, there is a drag to DeQuee that is complete and sprinted ahead, making it 3rd and 1. Now, they dial up a quick pass to the snapper here, who does pick up a first down. And then another pass following that gets to about the 10-yard line. KWU not trying to slow down here, trying to start with a great strike here. And they get a pickup of about 5 yards on an out route, and that sets up 3rd and 5. Now, they keep back a couple of blockers here, and they throw the backside slant. This one is to DeQuee, and that is going to be caught for a touchdown here. And on the very next play, on the 1-point conversion, they throw right on a short curl by the pylon, making it 7-0 here with 6 minutes and 30 seconds in the first quarter here. That PAT caught by Whitfield, and that drive only takes 3.5 minutes to score and get it started here for Kansas Wesleyan and just the scoring in general for this game. Now, Baker trying to respond here on this next drive, starts off their drive even better than their last drive went, very early, zipping it in between 2 defenders to the snapper for a first down. So already, more of a gain on this very first play for Baker than they had in their entire last drive. Now on the next play, Baker keeps 2 blockers back and launches downfield, but that pass is not quite reeled in. On the next play, the rusher splits the blockers perfectly, but quarterback Waller here evades excellently, avoiding the sack, and rushes ahead to the 30-yard line, setting up 3rd and 11, but this pass on 3rd down will not be complete, and Baker will have to punt once again. Kansas Wesleyan, they return this punt to the 28-yard line, and on 1st and 12, Wata checks down left to Roman, who sprints ahead to the 36-yard line. Roman, that is number 0, by the way, so a gain of about 6. On 2nd and 4, there's a deep strike down the seam, perfectly laid out, and unfortunately not reeled in here. And after another drop on 3rd down, it is 4th and 4, and KWU is going to have to punt. Lots of sloppy drops on this drive. definitely taking away the potential for some points on some good passes nonetheless. Now, Baker, they start their next drive on their own 18-yard line, and they start off with a throw right to number 9. That is Janae Ferdinand on the reception, and then a flag on the play pushes it even further ahead for Baker, now to the 37-yard line. So that's a net of 19 yards between the penalty and the reception. Now, on the very next play, quarterback does evade the rusher here. However, it is quickly made up by Alexa Mansour, who cleans up before midfield, and that will end the quarter here with 2nd and 1 for Baker to start the second quarter here. Now, this 1 yard line this 1 yard to go is only to midfield, and so they start off with a quick out route to number 5, Kayla Harrison, who picks up the first down and gets all the way to the opposing 33-yard line. Baker then tries to squeeze it in on the left sideline on a quarter route, but it falls incomplete. But a penalty saves the play, pushing them to the 23-yard line, so a 10-yard penalty. And on the very next play, Waller here scrambles left all the way inside the 10-yard line. Baker now deep into KW territory, and they have 1st and goal from the 7-yard line. They got 3 players in the backfield and tight receivers left, and Waller finds one of her backs on a quick route that gets them to the 1-yard line. They spread it out with 2 potential blockers, and they do a short motion from the left slot in, and that is going to be a whip route that slot receiver runs, and that is going to be tipped by the offense and then tipped by the defense until it lands in the arms of number 12, Faith Phillips, for the touchdown here. She stares down the defender and tightens the game. The 1-point conversion is tipped and an interception is dropped. But a huge missed opportunity by KWU to not only prevent the score, but also force a turnover, as that crazy touchdown literally tipped by the offense, tipped by the defense, and then just lands in the hands of a Baker player here, making it 6-7 with 9 minutes and 36 seconds to go. Now, KW on their next drive here, they call a rollout left. They try and tightrope it into the receiver, but is ruled out of bounds. And after a drop on the next play here, it is 3rd down to go. And, the pass isn't the most on point, but it is catchable and not reeled in. So drops once again, killing this KWU drive next and giving Baker the ball with 7 minutes and 55 seconds to go. Literally just eating up about a minute and a half before having to give the ball right back. Now on 1st and 8 on the 32-yard line for Baker here, quarterback scrambles up in the pocket and is pulled by 2 of KWU here, keeping the gain very minimal here, only a 4-yard gain to the 36. Now on the very next play, it is a quick pass left and a missed flagpole helps get Baker to the 39-yard line. They line up in bunch and have a quick pass left from 8 here to number 1 that picks up the first down and gets past midfield. Now, next play, quarterback throws the quick flat route to 9 here. That is Ferdinand once again. That sets up 2nd and 1 on the 21-yard line going in. Feels like this offense is doing as it pleases. And that trend kind of continues here as the quarterback drops back here, evades the rush, and then runs all the way up into the 10-yard line, setting up 1st and 9 in the red zone here. Waller scrambles again, and now Baker is inside the 3-yard line. It is 2nd and 2, and Baker calls a timeout with 3:32 in the half. Now, you have the snapper lined up and 2 receivers bunched to their left and 1 right. They try and throw underneath, but no dice here. They come out with the same formation with 2 backs, including the other quarterback, and they try to set up some kind of double pass here, but it is not caught here by QB2 here, and that suddenly puts them in a tough formation here, and that was a backwards pass as well. So now it is 4th and 7, and Baker takes another timeout with 2 minutes and 2 seconds left on the clock. However, on this next play, Waller scrambles right and basically euros between the defenders and extends for the score here, putting Baker up 12-7 here, and will use their last timeout to try and dial up something clever here for the 1-point conversion, but that is no good here. Baker with the lead here just before half, but Ken's Wesleyan still has 1:56 to go. Let's see if they can dial it in and, get some stickum on those gloves and make some positive gains on offense here. First play, roll left, pass complete left, and ran up to the 21-yard line. That picks up a first down to start the drive. On the next play, it is a catch just before midfield, and then a penalty following that puts them on the 37-yard line going in. So 2 plays and already past midfield. On the next play, it is a throw left to Roman, who gets out at the 26-yard line with under 90 seconds in the half. And just like that, they've gone from the 16 to the opposing 26 with about 1:30 in the half. They almost have to slow it down a little bit here so as to not give Baker so much time here left in the half. Now, the next pass is to Roman, who makes the cornerback miss and then gets into the red zone here and calls a timeout. So the ball is now on the 14-yard line with 1:22 to go here. And Chihiro throws an awesome strike left to Jada Wilson, who rips across and breaks the plane, crossing the pylon and scoring here. And for the 1-point attempt, they line up in a bunch formation with a snap to the quarterback, who wins the foot race to the left pylon, making it 14-12 with 1:15 to go. This drive is literally 41 seconds long here for Kansas Wesleyan, finding a way to not only score, but score giga fast here. But is that going to be too much time for Baker here to respond? And so Baker comes out, they spread it out, they keep back 2 blockers, and quarterback barely outlasts the pressure and finds number 5 by the boundary. That is Kayla Harrison for a few yards. On 2nd and 3, Waller just proves to be too fast and gets the first down out to the 26-yard line here. Now, on the next play, the rusher gets close, and quarterback uncorks a jump pass on the top shelf to a receiver who just narrowly cannot bring it in, but goes in for the top 10 of what-if plays, as it was kind of a crazy play here. The next pass on 2nd down is very contested and falls incomplete, making it for 3rd and 16 with a hair under 50 seconds to go. After a delay of game penalty, they're only going to get back to the 31-yard line before having to punt. Kansas Wesleyan here, now with a chance to score. If they can run this drive as fast as their last drive, there's definitely a chance here. And so they start just outside of their own 20-yard line. Snap, and then throw left, getting out of bounds with 28 seconds left to their own 34-yard line. Now they draw the defense off sides, and they take a shot downfield that is caught to the opposing 23-yard line, declining the penalty, and already, once again, 2 plays and way across midfield, almost to the red zone. They line up and hit a nice post crosser here where Jada Wilson rips the ball away from the defender and muscles into the end zone here. And the PAT to number 25 here, listed as Vanessa Towney here, is good. And now the Yotes are up 21-12 here. These 2 back-to-back drives, just incredibly fast here. 1:15, I guess, on that initial one here. Or my bad. 66 yards in just 41 seconds, and then 58 yards in 17 seconds on that next one here. And it's looking like the box score might be a bit more accurate than my note-taking. I was trying my best to make out the numbers here, but it looks like Whitfield is the one who is just feasting in this game, actually having caught both of those touchdown passes, the 14-yarder and the 23-yarder, to close this first half. So, halftime takeaways. When Baker is clicking and utilizing all of their formations, they can move the ball well, but sometimes there are throws that are open where it's just not seen and 2 just settles and scrambles. Meanwhile, Baker's defense has been very fortunate with some timely drops and needs to lock in to slow down KWU's attack. Meanwhile, KWU needs to stop shooting themselves in the foot, whether that's drops on offense, defense, or just missed flagpoles. And so, KWU actually gets to start the second half here after a lightning delay. And this very first play, very ill-advised pass attempt here. The quarterback's just doing a little bit too much and tries to throw across her body, and it's a little bit behind her receiver, who bobbles it right into the defender's hands here. number 1 on the interception. Destiny Martinez here gets the interception and sets up Baker at the 13-yard line going in. Also could have been a catch here, so another drop to start the second half that results in a turnover, and Baker here with excellent chance to score. But they unfortunately start off with 2 incompletions, setting up 3rd and 13, and I'm wondering if Baker is going to end up squandering this opportunity. And there's a pass that is incomplete. There is a penalty on the offense, but it is going to be declined, setting up 4th and 13 here. Baker lines up with 3 receivers left and 1 right. They keep back 2 blockers, and the pass sails over anyone, but a K-Dub defender bumps into a receiver, which draws the flag, the pass interference that is, and gives Baker a fresh set of downs at the 3-yard line. So this drive just got a lot more dire for the Coyotes here now, not only with their backs against the wall, but even being pushed into the wall here a little bit. Now they line up with 2 backs in the backfield, and they try and dump it quick, but the rusher here for Kansas Wesleyan, number 5 here, Rabano, gets good pressure here and actually sails into the air, getting a pass breakup. Now on 2nd and 3, the pass is caught, but it is out of bounds here, setting up 3rd and 3. They attempt a quick pass over the middle, trying to put it on the top shelf, but Angel Roman climbs a staircase here and breaks up the pass. Baker then has a delay of game, and now it is 4th and 8 here, and on this 4th down here, they drop back to pass, and Alexa Mansour steps up and scares the quarterback to dump it off, and then zips back for the flagpole and forces the turnover on downs. The KW defense making an incredible stand, having to both stop this drive on 4 downs from the 13, and then they stop it in 4 downs on the 3-yard line. They survive 8 plays in their own 15-yard line here and give KWU the ball back on offense deep in their own territory. They get a quick pass right that cuts it in half to about 2nd and 8, and then quarterback toys with the rushers and finds her receiver on a crossing route to the 19-yard line, setting up 3rd and 1. This next pass is absolutely a big, velocity pass here, but it is reeled in by the receiver with one hand, who picks up the first down and some. On the following play, it is a pass left near the boundary on a 2-person rush that sets up 3rd and 2. However, an incompletion makes it 4th down, and a quick pass right is attempted, but the defense is sitting on it and forces a turnover on downs, giving Baker the ball once again in KWU territory. Baker, they got 3 receivers lined up left and 2 throws deep to number 12 on a great pass, but it is not brought in and bobbled, resulting in 2nd and 18 from the 38 going in. They try a double pass down the right sideline here, but the linebacker gets a hand on the ball and forces an incompletion. However, there is a penalty on the play here that gives Baker an automatic first down. Now, they have a very short gain here that will wrap up the 3rd quarter. And when we come back in the 4th quarter, we still have Kansas Wesleyan leading this ball game here, but Baker driving with 2nd and 3 until the red zone. They call a quick pass right, but it is too high, making for 3rd and 3 here. But Waller makes it look too easy, even with a spy from KWU, to get a first down. It is now 1st and 16 here, and 2 sees the open receiver before, just knows that the receiver is going to be open and passes over the slot to number 11. That is Jalen Harris on the touchdown reception here. Now, the 2-point attempt is no good, but that does close the gap here. KWU is now only up 21-18 with about 10.5 minutes to go in this game. Now, Kansas Wesleyan calls a run here. It's the quarterback going up the gut for a first down to midfield here. Now, the snap is high, and they lose a ton of yards here, and I think that this might kill the drive. However, it is saved on the very next play, basically, with a pass over the middle that puts those doubts to rest as we are looking at 3rd and 7 after a nice toss and catch. But the next throw is for sure to Angel Roman here. using some of that ballerina-esque skill set here, getting her feet inbounds on a tough boundary throw for a first down to the 39-yard line. KWU follows that up with a great pocket setup here and dots up a receiver to the 25-yard line for a gain of 14. That is also followed up by another throw left that gets a first down to the 20-yard line. And I just take a note here that Iwata is stepping up in the pocket so fearlessly. Now another throw gets the Yotes to the 5-yard line on a great catch. But then there is a one-handed touchdown catch by Jayla Howes here to extend the lead. And then a top shelf catch and throw by DeQuee here makes it 28-18 with 5:52 remaining. This drive eats up 5 minutes of this game. And now Baker, down by 2 scores here, has a lot of work to put in here, both offensively and defensively, to bring it back. And they start off with a great pass here, deep over the middle to number 12. It's like basically twin posts that probably should have been picked by KWU, but I think that they just need to settle down a little bit here. They give up a big gain on this very first down here. And now Baker is on the 35-yard line. But the rusher here on this next play just funnels the play straight to number 2, who makes a good flag pull here along with number 5 for the sack back to the 31-yard line. Now Waller scrambles on the next play and gets past midfield to the 31-yard line of KWU, flipping field exactly here. Waller then finds 9 for a good gain to the 23-yard line, so a gain of about 8, and it's second and manageable here with a few ticks over 3 minutes to go. Pass left to the flats here, number 8, basically wide open, Zabaleta here, who gets held when the defender is going for her flag, and now the Cats are at the 6-yard line heading in. Waller buys time, going left, going right, and then throwing left with the receiver making an incredibly tough catch, and then whips around for the score here, bringing the gap to 4 points. That is a fantastic play here, but the 2-point conversion is no good. And Kansas Wesleyan is up 28-24 with 2 minutes and 43 seconds here. There's a pass left to start this KWU drive, but Zabaleta makes a great flag pull here short of the sticks, keeping this to 2nd and 1. And the pass on this play is barely incomplete. And on 3rd and 1, the clock is stopped with 1:58 to go. And the Baker defense just locks in here, heavily contesting another pass, playing their best defense at the best time to do so, and forcing KWU to punt with 1:53 to go. Baker with a chance to pull off this comeback here because a really bad punt gives the Cats 1st and 11 at the 31 of KWU with barely under 1:50 to go. Now a throw left is caught left to the 23-yard line, so a gain of 8 to start their drive here. And Baker now taking their time, letting some ticks come off the clock here. A great pass rush from K-Dub does force an incompletion, and now it is 3rd and 3 with 1:07 to go on the clock. Waller scrambles right, and number 5 makes a Moss-level grab here, Kayla Harrison, to put Baker to the 7-yard line. And now Baker has 1st and goal inside the 10, taking their time now with under 40 seconds to go. Waller runs right, and that is stopped just short, and Baker takes a timeout with 2 yards to go and 22 seconds. Baker lines up tight with 2 backs split way out, and number 8, Zabaleta, is not even covered. There's no defender out there, and they throw a swing pass, doesn't even get noticed, and takes the lead at 19 seconds left here, putting Baker ahead 30-28. This just looks like a complete miscommunication. They did not notice that Zabaleta was split out there in that kind of, double quarterback pass kind of formation, and she just waltzes into the end zone here, and KWU just has too many incompletions and too little time, and they lose this game tragically here. KWU, look, they played a good game with drives that were super clean, but drops continue to be a problem, and the defense getting lost on the game-losing touchdown is a gut-wrencher. This has to be a big day in the film room for the Coyotes, who have a lot to learn from on both sides of the ball on just mistakes and just mental errors that end up losing them this game. But, this was a obviously challenging and tough chess match here between the coaches here. And Baker's offense just pushing KW's defense to the brink over the course of this game with so many different formations. They lose their first game and drop to 7-1. Now, for Baker's takeaways here, I think that the scheming and timing of their big plays was the perfect combination to pull out this gutsy come-from-behind upset win here. This coach just has so many looks on offense and so many playmakers that took turns making big plays. They survived not scoring 8 downs in the red zone, which definitely lets you know how physical and tuned in the defense can be when they are clicking. They moved to 5-1 following this game here. Definitely a shakeup in both the power rankings and in the KCAC potentially here. Stay tuned for those reasonings and power rankings later in the show. But Baker with the come-from-behind fourth quarter win here to pull off the upset 30-28 over Kansas Wesleyan, handing them their first loss of the season. This was a great game by both squads here and definitely a matchup that I will be looking forward to later in the season and for sure in the KCAC tournament. Stick with me here, though, as that same night we had another KCAC matchup between the Cottey Comets and the University of St. Mary Spires here. Now, I did watch this stream at a later time, and it was a little weird because the stream started with 6 minutes to go in the first quarter with St. Mary on the other side of midfield, but it was still 0-0, so hopefully I did not miss too much here. I'm assuming Cottey had a possession, and then it switched because I'm pretty sure St. Mary's gets the ball in the second half. But let's just go ahead and talk about this opening drive for St. Mary's, or close to opening drive here with 6 minutes to go. St. Mary's on the other side of midfield here. And that being said, on the very first play, once they're on the other side of midfield, quarterback number 1, Cheyenne Brooks, loads up and fires a strike over the middle that is caught by number 2, Irvin here, just 2 yards shy of the first down. On 3rd and 2, it is a false start here. And on the very next play, number 15 for Cottey here, or looks like 15 at least, gets a flag pull here just before the first down. And now St. Mary's has 4th and about 3 to go. They dial up a quick pass over the middle to number 2, who extends and gets the first down. Brooks then narrowly on the next play, first down and goal, avoids the sack and lets one rip downfield. That touchdown is going to be caught by number 22, Rebecca Ruck here for the score. Great job by Brooks, keeping the play alive, evading the sack, and the 2-point attempt is no good, but St. Mary's leads 6-0 with 2 minutes and 43 seconds left in the first quarter. Now, for Cottey here, they start off, and Karula here, number 29, takes off here, picking up a first down and more, setting up 1st and 9 from the 31-yard line. On the next 2 plays, however, it is incompletions, with that second incompletion coming off of a great rush from Demi Hilton here, number 11 for St. Mary's, and now they are facing 3rd and 9 just like that. They throw it right, and the pass is dropped, and we have a punt here for Cottey. Now, the first play of the second quarter here is St. Mary's very own Brooks evading another sack and throwing a quick bullet to 2 Irvin, who gets a first down past midfield. However, on the next play, a sidearm is not quite accurate, and it falls incomplete. There's a dump off to the flats that almost loses some yards, but Cottey holds on this play and makes it a net gain of about 9 yards to the Comets' 30-yard line. On 2nd and 10, they dial up a deep shot, and that precedes another incompletion to the corner. This is a great break on the ball on that 3rd down by number 4 for Cottey here, Shamise Lee on the pass breakup. But now it is 4th down, and they push it down the left sideline, and it is incomplete, but there's a flag on the defense setting 1st down at the 20-yard line. They throw a pass right, and that is nearly picked off, but it is popped into the air, and then nearly caught by Aspire, but falls harmlessly to the turf, which is great for both squads, honestly. This is mutually beneficial that it ended up hitting the turf here, as both teams had a chance to make a play on this ball. On second down, the Spires throw deep over the middle, and the receiver turns back to adjust it, but cannot quite reel it in. It looks like it gets displaced by the ground, setting up third down and 20. Spires have really been trying to stretch the field this game, but they need to dial it in because the looks are definitely there. On this play, though, it is a check down pass to number 7, LaToya Mitchell here, who picks up a decent chunk, setting up 4th and 10. Now on this next play, Brooks looks left, slides right, and rifles it into Irvin, who just smiles here, making the catch in the end zone, shaking her head and celebrating with her teammates, just in disbelief of keeping this play alive and then finding the open gap here and getting the touchdown catch. Just a great improv play here by the Spire offense, and just another touchdown here. Brooks on this next play fires a late pass to number 8, Ayanna Harris, who makes the 2-point catch and now is 14-0 with a few ticks under 6 minutes to go. Cottey, still looking a little rusty here in this game, starts off their drive with a drop, and then there's a pass to the flats that is caught and turned upfield, getting within a yard of midfield and a first down. Cottey comes out bunched up, and the quarterback throws a nice pass to number 11, who makes the catch. You're going to be hearing that number quite a bit, and that is Tamaya Squire here on the reception and getting that first down for Cottey, keeping the drive alive. But there is a flag on the play, and it was a hold on the defense, so the Comets are now on the 27-yard line going in. On this next play, QB 2-9 rolls right and makes a small cut and sticks it inside Amaya here, getting up to the 15-yard line here, setting up first and goal in the red zone. The Spire defense back against the wall. On this next play, however, it is a drop and a couple of incompletions later, and we're staring down 4th down with great secondary plays here. I'm looking at number 21 here, Trinity Scott, who's making some great plays in the defensive backfield here. And now it is 4th down and no good here. The Spires shut the door on the Cottey red zone trip and give the offense the ball back with about 2 minutes to go, trying to score before halftime on their own 15-yard line. Now at the minute 51, snap back to Brooks, looks downfield and checks down to the snapper here. They hurry back up to the line. USM lines up tight and they call a direct snap and run up the middle, picking up a first down to the 21-yard line. But after picking up that first down, it looks like they're just going to go ahead and play it safe with this to halftime. 40 seconds on the clock, letting plenty of time drip by here. And to definitely stamp the end of offense for the Spires in the first half, Suzanne Aubert, number 10 for Cottey, gets a sack with about 30 seconds to go, pushing the Spires back to their own 15-yard line. Now, they do call a check down here to number 7, who makes the catch. That is LaToya Mitchell here. And a missed flagpole results in an additional 20 yards or so, taking them from a 2nd and 25 to a 3rd and 3. St. Mary's takes a timeout with about 16 seconds left here, and they are bunched in, and they shift and throw downfield. 2 receivers looked too close to one another. It's a little unclear who the target was. Now it is 4th down with under 10 seconds, and the punt will take us to halftime. End of the first half, St. Mary's leading 14-0 here. Cottey, obviously with that great opportunity to get inside the red zone, but just could not get things clicking here. Meanwhile, Cheyenne Brooks navigating the field very, very well and adapting to the rush very well and finding the open receivers consistently. And so USM, to start the second half, they have a handoff right on 2nd down. That's the first notable play that collects a first down barely past the 20-yard line. Brooks then uncorks one deep right that is reeled in by Scott, number 21, and after a missed flagpole, she will not be stopped until she is in the Cottey red zone. Now at the 18-yard line, the Spires are in a great spot to strike again and make this a 3-score game. On second down, Brooks will keep it herself and get to the 12-yard line. And on third down, they are spread out 2 by 2. Number 7 here does a great job of picking up the rush, and Brooks slides right, initially looking like she might take off, but keeps her eyes downfield and throws a beautiful pass to number 4, Braleigh Chris here. The 2-pointer is no good, but USM leads Cottey 20-0 with 7:54 on the clock in the third. Cottey, they come out a little different here. They come out 5 wide, and they throw a quick snap right to 11 that picks up just a couple. But this same formation is going to be their go-to in this second half, and it is very successful. Throwing left, caught by 4 for a first down to the 22-yard line, just trying to establish some rhythm on offense. Throwing right to 11 again. This time she has some green in front of her and runs all the way ahead to the 33-yard line. Now a throw left picks up only a yard. But on the very next play, we have Carolla throwing deep to Squire here, who makes the catch on the other side of midfield and gives them only 10 yards to go until the end zone. This 5-wide set has been very fruitful and continues to rake as Carolla finds 4 by the left boundary in the end zone, and it's caught in the end zone here for the score. But there is some mustard on the lettuce here. The refs get together, the officials talk, and it is an illegal contact penalty that will undo the touchdown and push the Comets back 10 yards, almost back to their own 20-yard line, with it being second down. On this next play, the quarterback takes off right herself and puts Cottey back within the 10-yard line, but it was very close to being a touchdown if it were not for the efforts of Talia Wright here, the freshman on defense for St. Mary's, who makes a touchdown-saving flag pull here. I almost said flag grab. A little bit of a tongue twister there. But on the next play, Carolla is scrambling and looking over the middle. It's targeted for number 4, but is incomplete. However, that pass attempt draws pass interference on that crossing route, and that puts Cottey at the 4-yard line with a fresh set of downs. They won't need it anymore, though, as Carolla rolls up into the end zone here, getting Cottey on the board, and then finds number 11 for the PAT, closing the gap to 20-7 with 3:39 in the third. So Cottey finally on the board. Great offensive drive, taking what the defense gives them, establishing rhythm for their quarterback here. And now, hopefully, if they can get a stop on defense, they can close this gap. But St. Mary's is the type of team today that just looks so automatic on offense. And they come out getting flushed outright and only gain a single yard on the first play. However, a quick pass to 12 picks up a few more for a first down here. So just 2 plays, got a first down. Now they have a receiver each out wide and then 2 players in tight along with a snapper and a back, and a run is called, and that gets to the 25-yard line. On the next play, they find Wright, number 12, who is further aided by a missed flagpole and sets up a very manageable 3rd and 4. They got 3 in tight, a running back and a single receiver split out wide each side, but they motion that split receiver on the right side, Irvin, right to left, who gets the jet sweep and then cuts back right across the field, finding the gaps. And that is a huge run that gets into the red zone here, just perfectly dicing and slicing up this defense on that jet sweep. And that will be ran out of bounds just outside the 10-yard line and end the third quarter. To start the fourth quarter, St. Mary's is on the 11-yard line trying to put this thing away, and they come out with the same formation as before, and they snap it directly to the back, Ella Campbell, who hands it off to Irvin, picking up a few more yards on this jet sweep. This one is about a 4-yard gain, so not as dynamic of a play, but still effective. Now, they come up next and snap it to Campbell again, who throws the quick pass to Wright this time that sets up 3rd and 2. Now they come out in a super bunched formation. Brooks ready to receive the snap, but USM takes a timeout with 10 minutes and 35 seconds to go. Now it looks like 7 could potentially receive the snap, but they motion her and they flood right, and Brooks does it herself, lunging and reaching for the plane, breaking it and securing the score here. The dump off to Mitchell will be good and make it 27-7 with about 10.5 to go in the football game. Cottey, they get the ball back and they come right back out in that 5-wide look, and they know that time is of the essence here with a quick pass to 11, and it looks like that's going to be the recipe for back-to-back plays, with the second one earning a more substantial gain to the 30-yard line and giving them a fresh set of downs. A throw left to 4 is going to be a gain to the 38-yard line, and on 2nd and 2, Cottey is on the ball quick, and the pass is bobbled but eventually reeled in by 11 for the first down. Quarterback here, 29, tucks and runs left on this first down play, gaining just about 5. We're about at the 8-minute mark here. Cottey is still running hurry up. They roll right, and they fire one to number 4, who makes the catch on the crossing route here and accelerates all the way down the right sideline to the end zone here. Shamise Lee on the receiving touchdown here. This was a great mesh route ran by Lee and number 11 Squire here. And on the very next play, 11 makes the catch here, a very tough catch for the PAT, and that makes it 27-15 with under 8 minutes to go. However, she holds up her hand, saying that the defender is too little, and that is going to give the Spires the ball on the 24-yard line. She's flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct, but just a great play design here and a great route combination by 11 and 4, and way to find the open player here and make this a 2-score game once again. And just to see them actually moving on offense is really refreshing. Now, USM gets the ball here, like I said, 24-yard line, and it's 1st and 16. They call a direct snap to Campbell, who kind of shovels it to Irvin. This one does not catch the defense by surprise, and the quick flagpole only yields 2 yards of gain. Now, the Spires lined up tight. They call a direct snap to 7, who runs left and cuts up inside to the 33-yard line. On 3rd and 7, Brooks is in gun with 2 wingbacks ahead of her, just a couple yards behind the snapper, and 2 receivers split out right and one-on-one on the left side. They call another direct snap to 7, who barely gets to the 35 before her flag is pulled by 29 Karula on the other side of the ball making plays. 4th and 5 here, University of St. Mary's lines up to go for it, and on this play, Brooks avoids the sack, steps up, and dots up Irving for another big first down. She cannot be stopped. Their connection is telepathic, and that is going to be even more evident here shortly, because this first down is major for the Spires, who now don't have to snap the ball until 5 minutes are left and are on the opposing 32-yard line. The Spires do come out, though, and have a direct snap to 14, who looks to toss left, but no one is there. Not really sure what the play call is, but Cottey does take advantage here. Number 10, Suzanne Aubert here with the flag pull for loss. Now, the snap deep to Brooks has time and just seems to have, like I said, that connection mentally to Irvin, who makes a catch coming back to the ball for a nice chunk of yards to the 18-yard line and another big-time first down. A great rush on first down does force an incompletion. However, the Spires don't run their next play until there's under 3 minutes to go, and they're going to try and get the backbreaker by the pylon. Unfortunately, this falls incomplete. On 3rd and 18, now with no play being ran until the 2-minute warning, they throw left. That is nearly picked off, but not quite brought in by the defender here. And so St. Mary's on this 4th down play is going to take a timeout here. And Mitchell on this 4th down does a great job picking up the rusher here, buying Brooks just enough time she needs to find a wide open number 21 in the end zone here. That is Trinity Scott all by herself. She gets jiggy with it on the celebration, and that will probably squash any comeback hopes that Cottey probably has. Even without a PAT, it is now 33-15 with under 2 minutes to go here. Cottey does benefit from an unsportsmanlike conduct call to start on the 24-yard line, but the first pass is a shot downfield that is caught out of bounds, and 3 straight incompletions will put them in a tough 4th down spot. They get a catch here, but it is short of the sticks, and with a turnover on downs with a 1:32 left in the game, University of St. Mary's will take this one away here. So, St. Mary's getting, I want to say, their first win of the season, in part to a huge performance from Cheyenne Brooks, 237 passing yards, and even more so, Irvin here Sade Irvin with 113 receiving yards. That has got to be a season high, both individually and for this team, I would assume. St. Mary's just did a great job throwing the ball all over the yard, and the Comets just took too long to get going here. This will definitely have an impact on the power rankings this week here. But St. Mary's defends their home turf and gets a win over Cottey on this Wednesday action. Now, the last of the Wednesday action, I did not watch this game, so this is just going to be a box score recap here. But this was Ottawa's last game before heading to the Reinhardt Invitational here. They would face off against Southwestern College and win big here, 47-0, in huge part thanks to a 21-point second quarter here to go up 28-0 at halftime. Much of the same here. Madison Carrera with a passing touchdown to Alyssa Linkus to start the scoring. Madison Carrera on the day ends up with 330 passing yards for this squad. Just absolutely beasting it here. And finding Cynthia Holmes after that on a 40-yard touchdown pass. And then Cynthia Holmes catches actually 2 more touchdowns, it looks like, this game. So, yeah, just an absolute masterclass from Ottawa, much of the same. And Southwestern College, obviously, just struggling in this game, not finding the end zone and dropping to 3-3, I believe. And, Southwestern, they only managed 97 yards and threw 2 interceptions here. And, yeah, it was just a tough day here for Southwestern. Looks like Solis here went 15 of 22 for 92 yards. Obviously, those 2 picks as well. And Miranda Dooley had 28 rushing yards, so they tried to switch something up just a little bit here. But this depth this early in the season definitely will hurt you in games like this here, where you don't have a ton of players, you can't really mess with matchups all that much. And, against a defending national champion powerhouse in Ottawa, definitely does not make things easy in this game. Madison Carrera with a Playmaker of the Week-esque performance here. 5 passing touchdowns, 330 passing yards. Just a masterclass for this KCAC matchup. But that does it for the Wednesday action here. I'm going to pass the mic to the fellas here who are going to take us through the Reinhardt Invitational and all the action that went through there. Lots of great recaps and lots of shakeups coming up. And then I will recap the Sunday matchup between Midland and Baker, and then we'll talk Playmaker of the Week and Power Rankings coming up next.
All right, now let's go ahead and talk about some of the games from the Reinhardt Invitational. To start, we have a March 15th game between St. Thomas, who we had ranked at number 6, and number 1 Ottawa going into this week, that is. And so let's go ahead and hop into this one. St. Thomas, they would start with the ball here, and on their first drive, they would get a quick first down to Jada Graham, but after that, DJ Paris would bat down a pass, bringing up 2nd and long. Then they get a nice gain from Kaylee Miller, setting up 3rd and 8, but then on 3rd and 8, Holly Neer at quarterback throws one over the middle, a dig route to Jada Graham, but it is overthrown, so St. Thomas punts early on in this game. Now, Ottawa, they take over here, 1st and 5. This was a pretty good punt, by the way, so 5 yards from their own end zone, but they would eventually get out of that as Madison Carrera dumps it off to a reliable receiver, utility player really, Alyssa Linkus, who tight ropes down the left sideline and gives them a 1st and more, really. It's 1st and 8 approaching midfield, and on 1st down, Carrera rolls left and finds Marley Spielberg, the freshman, who toe taps it in and scoots forward for the 1st down past midfield. So 2 quick 1st downs to start here. But it's 1st and 20 past midfield, and here's what happens. Carrera rolls right before reversing fields and finding Marley Spielberg Spielberg again over the middle, this time for a big gain, almost a first down, but just short, so it's 2nd and 1 on a gain of 19. And on 2nd down, Carrera throws the out route to Alyssa Linkus, who gives them the first in the red zone, plus a little bit more as well, on a nice gain of about roughly 9 or 10 here, as it is 1st and 11 in the red zone on Ottawa's first drive. And on this drive, or on this play here, Carrera rolls left and then lofts one to the back of the end zone, and Cynthia Holmes mosses everyone, all the defenders, making an all-hands catch. Great play here by Holmes here, as Ottawa goes up 6-0. On the extra point, Carrera throws towards the back right pylon and finds Alyssa Linkus to make it 7-0, taking the early lead. Now, St. Thomas takes over, looking to get something going here, and they do. They do get a nice first down on a pass to Kayla Alvarez, setting up a 1st and 19. But a couple plays in, St. Thomas only getting short yards here on some short routes thrown, a lot of checkdowns. That brings up a 4th and 5, and St. Thomas decides to go for it already near midfield. And here's what happens. Holly Neer drops back and throws it, but it is tipped up and knocked down by DJ Paris, one of Ottawa's rushers. And so that's a turnover on downs. Ottawa takes over past midfield here with about a 1st and 15. But let's go ahead and fast forward to the second quarter, the start of the second quarter. 2 plays later, it's 3rd and 14 for Ottawa, and Carrera drops back, goes deep to Alyssa Linkus, but this one is just well covered and is easily picked off by Ryona Baker. And so St. Thomas is set up with the 1st and 15 here following that interception. Moving on to 3rd and 6, 2 plays later, Holly Neer rolls right and throws a slant to Kaylee Miller, who fights through the great defense and catches a tip pass for a big-time first down past midfield. I could tell there's already some talking as she does stare down the defender, making a physical catch here to extend this drive, which is absolutely huge. Neer on the next play then throws a deep dig route to the freshman Leah Cruz, who makes it 2nd and 8, but on 2nd down, Neer is sacked by Suze Kaufman, making it a tough 3rd and 17 situation. On 3rd down, she has no choice but to throw it deep, and it is knocked away by another freshman here from Ottawa, Talia McInnes, and so St. Thomas is forced to punt, just not finding anything, no real rhythm here on offense for St. Thomas. Now, Ottawa, they will get the ball back and will get a first down here, but eventually a penalty, I believe, which would be thrown on Ottawa on a 3rd and 5, would go ahead and force them to punt it. So nothing will come out of that drive here right before half. And so St. Thomas gets a chance here right before half, taking over just past midfield to score. It's about 1st and 20. And here's what happens. Holly Neer throws it out to Jada Graham, who gets a good gain of about 13, setting up 2nd down and 7. At this point, I believe the 2-minute warning goes off. The clock is wrong. I'm not going to lie. The clock is definitely wrong here, as they say the 2-minute warning goes off, but the clock reads 3 minutes. So that is definitely worth noting here. But following that, Holly Neer throws to Miller on the out, making it 3rd and 4. But on 3rd down, Neer drops back and is sacked again by Suze Kaufman, her 2nd of the day. So that brings up 4th and 5, but before St. Thomas goes for it, they call a timeout with about 59 seconds left here. And then out of the timeout, here's what happens. Holly Neer drops back and throws the slant left. It's a little high here, but Tyler Bryant makes an all-hands catch and then burns the defense, who I think were just turned around by how high this pass was, and we're trying to track it and just got turned around. But she burns them for a huge touchdown here to put St. Thomas on the board, 7-6 with about 51 seconds left here. But on the PAT, it would be incomplete. So Ottawa still maintains the 7-6 lead. Basically going into half, Ottawa would take over with about 51 seconds left, but would not be able to do anything. So let's go ahead and fast forward to the 3rd quarter. Ottawa starting with the ball here. after an incompletion here to start the drive, they go ahead and throw it to Addie Orsburn. And this pass, it's pretty high here, but it still touches her hands, so it's tipped up by Addie and then intercepted by Tyler Bryant, who slides in to make the big-time interception here to go ahead and erase that and set St. Thomas up in a great situation of 1st and 8 here. Now, after a couple plays, let's go to 3rd and 1. Holly Neer then finds Kaylee Miller on the out to go ahead and put them in the red zone, setting up a 1st and 18. On 1st down, Neer throws another out, goes back to Kaylee Miller on the out, who gets a solid gain, making it 2nd and 9. On 2nd down, there's an incompletion, so now it's 3rd down here, and Holly Neer rolls right on 3rd and 9 and throws a kind of a dangerous pass over the middle to Jada Graham. A lot of contact here, but I think all the defenders are playing the ball, and so it is knocked away. Lucky it's not intercepted, to be honest with you. So now that brings up 4th and 9 here. St. Thomas calls their first timeout right here at 5:58, I believe, but like I said, the clock is definitely wrong, so there is that, but I feel like I just gotta say that. And so out of the timeout, St. Thomas, to go ahead and go for it. They throw it, but this pass is just not a great one here, and so it is incomplete. And it's another turnover on downs. Now Ottawa, they take over with a 1st and 11, still with the lead though, so still feeling pretty comfortable. Let's go ahead and move to a 3rd and 7 play here. On 3rd down, Carrera throws the curl to Jaslyn Camacho, who scoots forward, getting the 1st down, setting up a 1st and 19. On 1st and 19, Carrera goes back to Camacho, making it 2nd and 16. A very short play here, so only 3 yards. Following that, though, there's another short play, but this time it's a check down to Alyssa Linkus. She makes it 3rd and 12. And then on 3rd and 12, Carrera drops back and just throws a very ill-advised throw over the middle here. Not a good read, and it's just picked off by Rayona Baker. So that sets up St. Thomas with another short field, a 1st and 5 with roughly 2 minutes left here. On 2nd down, which is following a drop here, Holly Neer finds Leah Cruz over the middle, who gets some good yards after the catch, setting up a 1st and 12 in the red zone here for St. Thomas. Their 2nd red zone trip of this game, I believe, end of this half, I want to say, I'm pretty sure. Yes, so their 2nd red zone trip of the game, which would be the same thing as a half. So let's go ahead and go to the 4th quarter, where it's a 1st and 12 in the red zone, and here's what happens. They basically call a tunnel screen. Obviously, no real blocking here, but the defenders, or the players, get in the way of the defenders, and it is thrown to Tyler Bryant, who just walks it in for a big-time touchdown, giving them the 12-7 lead. On the PAT, Holly Neer rolls right and finds Kaylee Miller to make it 13-7 right at the start of this 4th quarter. And so here we go, St. Thomas with their first lead of the game here late in this game in the 4th, but plenty of time for Ottawa to respond. And that's exactly what they do. They start with a 1st down play to Marley Spielberg on 2nd down to set up a 1st and 16. A couple plays later on 3rd and 3, they go back to Marley Spielberg, who makes it 1st and 15, this time past midfield. And then on 1st down here, they go ahead and call a double pass. This one goes to Maya Quinn, who then eventually finds Bailey Hodgins, who makes a tough contested catch while getting tackled, by the way, which was just a really bad decision by St. Thomas, because that's an obvious personal foul, and that's also an automatic 1st down here in the red zone. So now it's 1st and 20 here. But on 1st and 20, Lanai Leone, who's been getting a lot of pressure on Madison Carrera this game, goes ahead and smacks down a Carrera pass, setting up a 2nd down. Then on 2nd and 20, Carrera tries to throw a swing route, but it is just off the mark here. She is under pressure by Leone, and so that is a backwards pass, ruled a fumble basically. So that goes out of bounds, now setting up a 3rd and 26. And then on 3rd and 26, Carrera drops back, but once again is under pressure and just throws a bad ball here, so it's incomplete. Now it's 4th and 26 as Lanai Leone is coming alive here in this game. And Carrera, no choice but to go deep here, but it is in double coverage, and it is knocked away by Deshumba Washington and Tyler Bryant. So that's a turnover on downs. Now St. Thomas, they take over here with the 1st and 12 and the lead. Obviously, you want to get a score here, but using some time is also important as well. After an incompletion, or sorry, I should say a knockdown pass by Suzanne Kaufman, it's now 2nd and 12 here, but it's another low pass which is incomplete, or at least it looks that way, before it appears the ball bounces off of, it had to have bounced off a body part and into the hands of safety Talia McInnes for an interception. And like I said, it looked like the ball hit the ground, but I think it must have went off the cleat of Kaylee Miller here. And you could kind of hear it, you kind of can't as well, but the ball pops up and it's intercepted, so this is a big break by Ottawa here. 1st down with under 5 left in this game. On 1st down, the play goes for a couple, setting up 2nd and 8, and on 2nd down, Carrera throws the drag to Alyssa Linkus, but only goes for 3, so now it's 3rd and 5, but on 3rd down, Lanai Leon, she applies some pressure, and so the pass once more is incomplete, setting up 4th and 5 here. And on 4th and 5, Carrera scrambles left and gets the first, but I think an illegal block will erase that. And so I also think Carrera might have been stopped just short as well, and so they probably declined that, and that's a turnover on downs regardless. So St. Thomas gets the ball with 1st and 19 with about 2:43 left, but they just go 3 and out. Not too much going for them here. Well, they do take up some time here, including the 2-minute warning, and Ottawa is forced to burn a timeout with about a minute 52 here, but St. Thomas will punt. And so Ottawa takes over with roughly around a minute 46 seconds left, or at least that's what it says on the clock. And so here's what happens. 1st and 10 here. Pressure is on as Ottawa needs a touchdown, and they go ahead. Carrera goes ahead and throws the drag to Alyssa Linkus, who gets a good gain and gets out of bounds. So now it's 2nd and 1. On 2nd down, Carrera then finds Holmes over the middle. It's now 1st and 7 past midfield. On this next down here, Carrera throws a out route to Bailey Hodgins, who makes it 2nd and 4. But on 2nd down, Carrera is then sacked by Lanai Leon. So clock is running. It's now 3rd and 7. And on 3rd and 7, Carrera is forced to throw the quick out to Linkus here, not able to get anything deep as there is pressure. And so she steps out of bounds. So now it's 4th and 5 here. And Ottawa calls a timeout, their 2nd of the game here. And out of the timeout, Carrera finds Jaslyn Camacho on the curl to give them a 1st and 18 in the red zone. Now the clock reads 1 minute and 4 seconds here. And so on 1st and 18, Carrera scrambles and is stopped in bounds here. She's looking for a while, but eventually Leon gets there and forces her to scramble. And so I think she gets stopped in bounds, and then the refs say the clock runs out, even though there's almost 50 seconds left. And so St. Thomas wins 13-6 in a big time upset. The number 6 team taking out the number 1 team in the country. There's a lot of talking going on at the end of this one here, but St. Thomas winning regardless here. I don't believe I have any stats from this game here. I'll still check anyways. And no, at the time I'm recording this, there's none. But it was a pretty low scoring game in general here. Look, let me talk about both of these teams here. Actually, sorry, let me talk about how this game ended real quick. I kept saying this throughout the recap. The clock was off, and you could tell the crowd was reacting, in a confused manner. I don't think anybody quite realized what happened when on 1st down she basically ran and got stopped in bounds, and the clock apparently ran out even though there was like 50 seconds left. So there was that as well, and there's just a lot of confusion here. Now I don't know if the clock read something different on the stream. It read different from what was happening on the field. Now, like I said, the crowd was reacting a little confused at first, I thought. And so that's why it made me come to believe that maybe the clock was off on the field. And if that's the case, then that's just a big blunder by, Reinhardt, who was hosting, graciously hosting, of course, which is awesome, getting to see these games. But, you just can't have a clock be that far off, because that does affect the decisions in the red zone. In Ottawa, they had a chance to go ahead and tie this game. Were there chances before this drive to do that? Yes, of course. But they thought, or at least I thought, they had over a minute basically to run 4 plays, which is more than enough time here, especially considering I think Ottawa had another timeout as well, their last timeout to potentially burn in case anything went wrong. So I don't know. Is this controversy? Feel free to DM us and tell us what happened at this game. This is just what I was able to see, unfortunately, just being able to stream all the way in Colorado, snowed in, so that sucked. But it wasn't like Ottawa played their best game either. And so that kind of leads me to this. The player of the game was NAIA Leone, St. Thomas's sophomore rusher, in my opinion. She was the catalyst behind this defensive effort, because don't get it twisted. For St. Thomas, this was a defensive effort. This offense still isn't exactly clicking the way it was last year. And, on all the drives that they scored, they never had to drive, the majority of the field. In fact, all the drives they scored on were past midfield here, which, you gotta thank to the defense as well. Obviously, special teams, getting some returns, but there weren't any, crazy returns, I felt. So I just think, this defense played extremely well in NAIA Leone. She had multiple sacks, had some batted passes, which kept, long downs at long downs. So 1st and 20 would then become 2nd and 20. And that definitely matters, because that puts the pressure on Ottawa, who's kind of just struggling here to get anything deep. Madison Carrera was constantly under pressure, and so was forced to check down. But, St. Thomas has enough athletes where they're going to eat that up and stop that for a lot of minimal gains. And so if you even have one play or one down where you just get nothing, that really hurts your offensive efforts if you're only getting 5 yards a pop, right? So that leaves you at a 4th and 5, 4th and 6, which is not exactly super short. So, especially against a great defense like this one. So, huge props to the NAIA Leone in this defense. They got a lot of picks. A lot of those were because Leone was, forcing that pressure, making Carrera have to throw with good timing. And, this game she just couldn't. She threw a lot of picks this game. So there you go there. But I think no doubt about it, player of the game had to be NAIA Leone. Now let's talk a little bit more about St. Thomas. Not too much more, but just a little bit more. Defensively, they played extremely well. Their defense really carried them this game. We'll just go ahead and say that. I don't think that's a bad thing or anything like that, but they set them up in a lot of great situations, which you love. Offensively, they got going a little bit more down the line, but you also got to think, hey, it's pretty... It shouldn't be that hard to get 2 touchdowns on 2 drives where you're already past midfield. You're already 40 yards, you're already halfway there to scoring, right? So, still looking for the St. Thomas offense to kind of pick it up against a quality defense and whatnot, as they have struggled here. But for now, this is working with the defense playing really well. And so if you're St. Thomas, you got to like that. And you just got to believe that your vets on the offensive side could get clicking here sooner than later. So there you go there. Now for Ottawa, defense wasn't bad. Now I couldn't quite tell if the defense was bad or if the offense was just getting great field positioning. I thought the defense played well, only allowed 13 points. So altogether, that really should be a winnable game. I put a lot of the blame on the offense, just not able to get too much past 10 yards. A lot of checkdowns, under pressure a lot, and they just didn't do a great job adjusting to the rush, which was mostly just one in NAIA Leone, which, I don't know. It says a lot, and I think that's more of an adjustment issue on the coaching side of things, but, they have players on the roster who were former quarterbacks outside of Madison Carrera. So they could have ran a lot more double passes. Are they keeping their cards close to themselves? Maybe. But, it definitely costed them a win here, and they just didn't. I mean, I don't know. I would have been surprised if they scored on that last drive anyways, to be honest with you. I know there's the whole clock controversy or whatever you might call it, but I mean, this offense wasn't exactly super productive here. And, when you play a defense like St. Thomas, they're going to force you to get the ball out quick. So you really got to anticipate like routes forming and making those correct pre-snap reads at the line. And you got to play pretty close to perfect pre-snap and then, anticipate it going forward. And they just couldn't do that. St. Thomas got them really uncomfortable, and Ottawa just didn't have an answer there offensively, which is definitely a little bit of, I wouldn't say red flag, but a little bit of a yellow flag there for sure. But, we'll see what happens. Ottawa has always bounced back in every national championship they've won. I mean, they've lost to a Sun Conference team. So there you go there. But that'll wrap up this one here. St. Thomas, they upset number 1 Ottawa in a big time effort here, 13-6. All right, now let's go ahead and recap this game between number 6 going into this week. That is St. Thomas versus number 15 Campbellsville. Played on March 15th, Friday, at this Invitational here. Let's just go ahead and get into it. To start out, Campbellsville gets the ball, but they go 3 and out, just not getting really anything here. The St. Thomas defense standing strong, which is their signature move here when it comes to playing these games. Great defense. But their offense takes over, and they drive down the field in a pretty methodical manner here. Holly Neer on point, throwing a slant to Tyler Bryant to end this drive to put them up 6-0. Just a very sharp drive by them. I'm not going to recap every single throw here, but she puts together a great drive that ends with a touchdown, which is what matters. Neer would then find Cameron Campbell on the PAT to go ahead and put them up 7-0 at around the 5-minute mark for St. Thomas. Now, Campbellsville, they would get the ball, and they would have a better drive here. They would feed Presley Payne a pretty solid amount and get the first down approaching midfield, but would eventually stall out on a 4th and 4 here, which, they would go for naturally here. But it was an interesting play call. They called a option play, which is like immediately snuffed at by St. Thomas, who is a lot more disciplined than to fall for that. So that's a turnover on downs. Now St. Thomas on offense, they put together another pretty nice drive here, getting the ball to Kaylee Miller a lot here on a lot of short stuff, as well as Leah Cruz over the middle. That would put them in the red zone. And so let's go ahead and fast forward to the second quarter, as it started late in the first, and this drive would end in the second. St. Thomas in the red zone. A drop pass on 3rd down brings up 4th, and then on 4th down, Neer drops back and throws the slant to Riona Baker, but she is stopped way short. I think this route is just ran a little bit too short here. Plus, Campbellsville applies pressure, forcing Neer to get the ball out. So that's a turnover on downs. Now, Campbellsville, they take over starting on their 6-yard line here with a good 74 yards to go. But they continue to struggle here, just not calling a lot of deep shots, playing it pretty safe in my opinion. And so they go 3 and out. And so they punt it, and Tashumba Washington fields this punt and then takes it 40-plus yards to the house for a STU St. Thomas touchdown to let them go up 13-0 with 7 minutes left. I believe this is the first punt return touchdown. I could be wrong, but I think this is the first punt return touchdown of this year here. So there you go there. Play made by Tashumba Washington. PAT's no good, but they take a 2-score lead. Now they go ahead and get Campbellsville the ball here, but their struggles would continue as they would go 3 and out and would punt it. And on this punt return, oh my goodness, St. Thomas almost breaks one loose. Another punt return touchdown to the house. And it ends with Zakira Wims last getting the ball after a couple of those pitches, but she is stopped just short on the 10-yard line. So here we go in the red zone. St. Thomas takes over, and on first down, Holly Neer finds Cameron Campbell on the out to put them up 19-0. And then I think the 2-minute warning hits. I'm not quite sure here. As per usual, the clock is not correct here. But, it is what it is. They still go up 19-0. Neer goes back to Campbell, who snags the PAT to make it 20-0 as St. Thomas begins to play some of their other players here. So a lot of younger players getting more playing time and resting some, notable faces like NAIA Leon, who had an excellent game against Ottawa earlier on in this day. But by this point, this game would pretty much be over here. St. Thomas beats Campbellsville pretty easily, 26-6. Campbellsville would get a touchdown in the second half, but it really didn't matter. St. Thomas was in control, riding that high after that win. So there you go there. I think, honestly, I don't know. Player of the game, everyone played pretty well, but I think I gotta go with Tashumba Washington. That punt return touchdown was huge and really swung this thing the other way. It was a one-score game going into the second quarter, so that was a big one to get them going here. So a lot of credit, and that was a huge momentum play. Whenever you get touchdowns on special teams, that's always huge. So there you go there. I guess notes, St. Thomas, they continue to play well. Their defense played well. Offensively, they definitely looked better. This was the first game where I saw them consistently put together some long drives, which is good here. But, it could definitely be improved on. Campbellsville, they're also not a top 10 team as of right now, so there is that as well. So for them to only score 26, I think that could be interpreted a couple different ways. So there you go there. Now for Campbellsville, they just got to get a more modern offense against a defense like St. Thomas. If you're going to give them simple stuff, they're going to eat it up because they just have great athletes. When you have great athletes, you could pretty much do whatever you want. So you really got to challenge those athletes intellectually. And they just did it. And so St. Thomas was able to play free, and Campbellsville, it just felt like they were super limited by some of their play calling. So there you go there. But, you got to continue to grow and get better. But in the meanwhile, St. Thomas wins pretty easily here, 26-6 over number 15 at the time, Campbellsville. Okay, now talking about one of the last games on March 15th of this Invitational here. We got a good one, number 8 Weber versus number 9 Reinhardt, playing a pretty late game here. It was only 5:30 Rocky Mountain time, which translates into 8:30 East Coast time. 6:30 Rocky Mountain time, and that would be 8:30 Eastern. So there you go. They're a pretty late one here, as there was a lot of rain on this day, but this would be the last game from March 15th. And so let's go ahead and hop into it. Reinhardt starting with the football here. They would get a nice first down when quarterback Alicia Wyatt, the freshman, checks it down to fellow freshman Janiyah Thomas, which would give them a nice 1st and 20 situation. But after a short throw to Deshae Branham and a scramble left by Wyatt, it would bring up 3rd and 10. And on 3rd down, Wyatt throws to the flat to Anaya Moore, who then gets them a first past midfield, making it 1st and 15 on a nice gain of, I want to say, 15 yards there. So there you go, first down past midfield. But once they got past midfield, on first down, there would be an incompletion. On second, there would be a drag route back to Anaya Moore, which would go for a solid gain there, bring up 3rd and 12. But on 3rd and 12, they check it down to Jada Vick, who makes the defender miss, bringing up 4th and 8. But on 4th and 8, Wyatt drops back and throws it, but just misses an open receiver here that would have been good for a first down. So that's a tough turnover on downs for Reinhardt. Now Weber, they take over here, and a tough sack on 3rd and 8 here, where Sam Wilson, their quarterback, gets sacked by Anaya Showers, would force a 3 and out. And so Reinhardt, they take over after the punt past the midfield. A nice return there on 1st and 15. Wyatt checks it down to Vic, who makes the defender miss and gets some good yards, making it 2nd and 6 there. And on 2nd down, Wyatt evades the rush and scrambles, swiveling her hips for a pretty big gain, just making it a really hard time for Weber to pull her flag. So now it's 1st down in the red zone, 1st and 9 to be exact. And on this 1st down here in the red zone, Wyatt finds NAIA Thomas in the flat, who puts her foot in the ground and cuts it upfield to make it 6-0 on a nice play after the catch. Just great agility there. Beautiful footwork. So Reinhardt gets on the board. The PAT, unfortunately, is no good after Wyatt misses an open receiver in the back of the end zone, but they still have the lead. Now Weber, they take over trying to get something going here near the end of the 1st quarter. And so to start, they will get a nice 1st down where Sam Wilson finds Caitlin Sigmundy on the hitch, who then pitches it to Sammy Gonzalez, which is good for a 1st down when they finally get her. 1st and 17 to be exact there. On 1st down, they motion Sigmundy left, and then Wilson throws it to her in the flat, who gets some good yards after the catch, I think for 8 specifically there. So it brings up 2nd and 9, and on this 2nd down, Wilson throws the dig over the middle back to Sigmundy, but she takes a lot of contact. I think it was maybe a 50-50 call. It didn't look malicious. It looked like the defender was kind of going for the ball there, but they go ahead and call illegal contact on the defense. And so that's an automatic 1st down past the midfield there. So there you go. It's 1st and 19. Not a huge gain, but still. So 1st and 19 past midfield. Wilson drops back and finds Riley Bolser on the out, who gets a solid gain, making it 2nd and 7, a nice gain of 12. On 2nd down, Wilson then checks it to, I think it's Abigail Jordan, who gets a solid gain, making it 3rd and 5. They then direct snap it to Sammy Gonzalez, who goes for a couple, and gets a 1st down, putting them in the red zone. And so that's where Weber picks up here at the top of the 2nd quarter. 1st down in the red zone, 1st and 18. They go ahead and throw a quick out to Jasmine Henry, aka Flash, who makes it 2nd and 12. Following that, they go back to Henry, feeling some pressure here, who shakes off a defender, or shakes off a hit, I should say, and then gets some yards there. Not many, but still 3rd and 10, which is solid here. And then on 3rd here, Wilson lofts one to the back of the end zone, but it is just off the mark. She had a receiver there, but she just missed her. So now it's 4th down, and on 4th down, Wilson, looking to redeem herself, rolls left and finds Cheyenne Duran, the transfer, on the slant to tie this game at 6-6. Now the PAT is overthrown, but Weber's still got to feel good about tying this one here at 6. Now Reinhardt, they take over looking to get something going, but after getting an initial 1st down on a pitch to Jada Vick here, they would struggle to get too many more yards. On 1st and 19, a check down to Kalaya Wimbush would make it 2nd and 14. On 2nd and 14, Wyatt is forced to scramble, but is stopped by the Weber rusher for no gain. So it's still 3rd and 14. That would end up being a huge play, because on 3rd down, Wyatt throws a slant to Deshae Branham, who gets a pretty big gain, but is stopped just short of the 1st down. So now it's 4th and 2 here, and they're obviously going to go for it so close to midfield, and Wyatt gets a snap, throws it, but it is knocked down by the 5'10 Riley Bolser. So that's a turnover on downs, and Weber takes over just past midfield with a 1st and 18. After a check down to Jasmine Henry, who gets a big gain of 13, a drop, and then a drag route to Leah Bailey, who gets them a 1st down in the red zone. It is 1st and 18 here in the red zone, and Sam Wilson gets the snap, drops back, and throws a dot to Cheyenne Duran on the corner route, who brings in a perfect pass right over her shoulder, right over the defender, to give Weber a 12-6 lead. Just a beautiful throw and catch here by these two. On the PAT, Wilson evades the rusher and finds Duran again to make it 13-6. So now it's Reinhardt's turn. They take over here with a chance to potentially tie it. On 1st down, Wyatt just scrambles up the middle and makes it 1st and 17 there. Following that, Wyatt throws the hitch route to Deshae Branham, who makes it 2nd and 14, a gain of 3, and then the 2-minute warning hits. So here we go, 2nd and 14 after the 2-minute warning. Wyatt gets the snap, and then goes deep down the left sideline and finds the Shea Branham, who has to stop for this ball, which is underthrown, but she catches it. Then she drops her hips here, evading the first defender, spins out of another one, and then burns these defenders 50 plus yards to the house to go ahead and give them not the lead, but go ahead and dig into this lead here of Weber's, making it 13-12, only trailing by 1. But a big-time play to get Reinhardt right back into it. Unfortunately, Wyatt would throw the PAT and it would be dropped, so that is a missed opportunity to tie this game. But still, a huge play to go ahead and put them within striking distance. Now, Weber, they take over, and they're trying to put something together, but they're not quite able to. And so that's the score at half. Weber leading narrowly, but still leading 13-12. Now, Weber would start on offense here. And so here's what would happen at the top of the third quarter. Sam Wilson finds her center, Bria Cam, over the middle to make it 1st and 19. Following a check down to Gonzalez, it's 2nd and 13. Wilson throws another check down to Cam, so now it's 3rd and 7. So let's go from 3rd and 7 here. 3rd down, and Wilson completes a key pass to Riley Bolser on the out to give them the first past midfield. So now 1st and 17 specifically past midfield. And on 1st down here, Wilson continues to throw these outs to Cheyenne, this time to Cheyenne Duran, which goes for about 10. And then she throws a check down to Sammy Gonzalez, who gives them the first in the red zone. So just like that, it's 1st and 19 in the red zone after a couple quick plays. After a check down to Gonzalez, there is a roughing the passer penalty thrown against Reinhardt. So now it's 1st and 9 here. Pretty manageable here. And on 1st down, Wilson throws a slant to Duran, who almost gets in, but is stopped short. So 2nd and 3 here. And on 2nd down, Wilson throws a drag, but it's dropped. On 3rd down, 3rd and 3 that is, she goes ahead and throws this out, but it is deflected by Jediah Thomas. But a penalty is thrown. I think it does go against the defense. In my opinion, I think it's a little questionable, but it is what it is. So now it's 3rd down again, 3rd and 2 basically, as at that point, you can only go half the distance to the goal line. And on 3rd and 2, Wilson gets a snap, drops back, throws a slant to Henry, who pulls off a nice move to get some separation to go ahead and put them up 19-12. On the PAT, Wilson's pass is knocked away by the rusher. So there you go there. It is 19-12. Now for the rest of this game, I'm not going to lie, not too much more happens here. Reinhardt's offense would really struggle, especially in the second half. They would get a 1st down to start, but Wyatt would take a really bad sack on 3rd and 2 that would force them to punt it after getting close to midfield. And then Weber would take over, and they would put together a pretty long drive here, long enough to get them into the red zone, actually, a 1st and 17 in the red zone. But after a drop and a tipped pass by Anaya Showers, it brings up 4th down here. And on 4th down, Wilson tries to go back to Durand on the corner, but this time it's pretty well covered and it's overthrown here, so it's a turnover on downs. But by this point, so much time has been used. Weber, starting in the 3rd, ending in the 4th here, so Reinhardt, they still got a chance to get something going, but once more, they continue to struggle here. On 3rd and 14, Alicia Wyatt spins out of a tackle and throws it deep over the seam, but it is just out of reach. So that brings up 4th down. And on 4th down, Wyatt scrambles, but accidentally gets in front of the line of scrimmage and throws it. So, it's incomplete, so it doesn't matter, but it's a turnover on downs. And then Weber, they basically take over here, and they would run out the clock. They would get into the red zone here, and they would not be able to score, but by this point, they have used up pretty much all the time in this game as they just run out this clock. And so Weber takes down Reinhardt 19-12. Player of the game, in my opinion, is Sam Wilson. She played a good game, throwing the ball well. Let me talk about Weber real quick. They took care of business. Offensively, they had 2 drives in the second half where they got into the red zone. They just weren't able to score. Against a better team, you obviously need to do that, but, it's fine for now. I mean, they still won, right? So you still got to feel good about it. Defensively, they played well. For Reinhardt, they just hit a really bad slump in the second half, not able to get too much. The youth of Alicia Wyatt and, this offense in general showed a little bit as well, as there were some miscommunications and just not the smartest plays out here as well, which is tough. It's tough for sure, but these are games that you learn from. And a year ago, I feel like this matchup was like not super close. Let me go ahead and actually check out what the score was from a year ago, because I'm almost positive they did play last year here. But regardless, I mean, this season, Reinhardt, they could have won it. They were really close. And unfortunately, they were just not able to. And, I guess they did. Or no, they did play. Weber won 34-7. So this is a lot closer than 34-7. So if you're Reinhardt, you got to feel pretty good about it. But you got to keep building, right? You got to keep getting better. They are in more competitive games as of late here. But, it just comes down to finishing those games, which is important. So can't be too mad if you're Reinhardt either. If you're Weber, you got to win against a team that was pretty closely ranked, just below. So I don't know if that's going to change a whole much. It was a one-score game. So you got to feel pretty good about that. But, it is what it is. That wraps up this first day of the Invitational. March 15th, Friday, Weber beating Reinhardt 19-12. All right, let's go ahead and get to the Saturday game. Saturday, March 16th, Ottawa versus Keiser here. A rematch of the very first national championship ever in women's college flag football. Going into this week here, Ottawa was ranked 1, Keiser at 2. But obviously, if you listen to the previous previews and, this is put in order correctly, you would have known that Ottawa just lost a close one to St. Thomas. Kind of reeling a little bit here, while Keiser, they also lost the game, not to an NAIA program, but they lost to Florida Gateway, the JUCO women's flag football champs from last year. So they're a good program. Only lost by 1 score to them, I believe 20-14. So both teams technically kind of reeling a little bit going into this game, but still some of the top teams in the country. Let's just go ahead and hop into it. Ottawa starts on offense here, and they start with a check down to Mandolin Scalisi, but she stopped for a loss of 2, so it's now 2nd and 8. They then throw a curl to Jocelyn Camacho, makes it a more manageable 3rd and 3, but then they go ahead. Madison Carrera gets the snap and then tries to throw it to Alyssa Linkus, but it is just slightly behind her, and it is dropped, and so Keiser forces the 3 and out there, playing tough defense and also capitalizing on Ottawa's miscues. Now, Keiser, they take over approaching midfield after the punt. They take over with a 1st and 4 yards away from midfield, but that would change pretty early here as Jasmine Roden finds Kennedy Foster on the out route to give them a first past midfield. So now it's 1st and 18. And on 1st down, Roden goes back to Foster on another out route to make it 2nd and 7. And then on 2nd down, Roden throws it kind of high, this time on an out route to Ashley Clam, the freshman, who was in a pretty tough one to make it 1st and 20 in the red zone. Wasn't sure if she was going to go get it, but she kind of soars and makes a great catch there to give them a 1st down in the red zone. After an incompletion on 2nd down, Roden goes back to Kennedy Foster on the out route, who gets some good yards after the catch, making it 3rd and 8. And on 3rd and 8, Roden sees an opening, scrambles left, but is stopped just short. They mark her down on the 1, so that brings up 4th down here. And on 4th and 1, Roden gets a snap and rifles one over the middle, not over the middle, on an out route this time to a wide open Ajon Rodriguez, it looks like. But unfortunately, she drops this one, and actually it might have been a drag, a little bit shorter here. But regardless, it's dropped, so that's a tough touchdown to kind of just leave off the board. And so Ottawa takes over on downs with a 1st and 19. After a quick check down to Scalisi, it's 2nd and 18. But then Carrera throws an out route to Cynthia Holmes, who gets a nice couple yards, getting them back into it with a 3rd and 10. Keiser in a zone here, by the way. And on 3rd and 10, Madison Carrera drops back, is patient, eventually finds Jaslyn Camacho, who falls forward for a first down. Just a 1st and 20, though. On 1st and 20, though, Carrera checks it down to Mandolin Scalisi, who makes it 2nd and 13, a manageable second down here. Once again, on 2nd down, Carrera checks it down to Randrea Gamble, but she kind of just runs backwards before pitching it or attempting to pitch it, but her flag was pulled before that could happen, so that is definitely tough. So a pretty big loss here. I think a loss of 4 or 5, bringing up 3rd and long. And then this is when the stream went out for a whole 15 seconds. But when it came back, Carrera threw it deep to Jaslyn Camacho, and she was off to the races, just burning that safety there, breaking free for a 40-plus yard touchdown. So Ottawa goes up 6-0 there on a Carrera to Camacho touchdown. On the PAT, Carrera throws the drag route to Linkus, but Sydney Woodman is able to get the tackle just short of the end zone, so it's no good. Now Keiser, they take over here to start this drive, which is at the very end of the first quarter. But let's go ahead and fast forward to the start of the second quarter, where they find themselves in a 4th and 1 situation, which doesn't last long, as Roden would just go back to Foster on the hitch to give them the key first down. And that would be the first down of this drive, as a low snap would set them back, and then, it would take all 4 downs to get back there. So there you go. 1st and 15, though. Roden pumps, getting the rusher into the air before scrambling for a solid gain of about 8. So now it's 2nd and 7. And on 2nd down, Roden throws a slant to Brianna Hernandez-Silva, who then gets some good yards after the catch past midfield using her speed. So now it's 1st and 17 here. On 1st down, again, Roden launches it deep to Brennan Ramirez, who does get loose, but it is just slightly overthrown here. So now it's 2nd and 17. On 2nd down, Roden checks it down to Brianna Hernandez-Silva, who reverses fields and gets a huge gain here, just burning some of these defenders, making it 3rd and 5, a big 12-yard gain to make this manageable, though. On 3rd down, Roden would get the snap and throw the out to Ashley Clam, who gets them a first in the red zone once more. And so here we go, 1st and 15. Roden drops back, pitches it forward to Brianna Hernandez-Silva after buying some time, who then just turns on the jets and beats the entire defense to the pylon here and is gone. Keiser, just like that, ties this game 6-6 here. Now, on the extra point, Roden tries to throw it over the middle, but it is picked off by Abby Brown, so it stays at 6-6, but just great plays by Brianna Hernandez-Silva to get Keiser on the board. Now, Ottawa, they take over on offense for the 3rd drive of the game, but some struggles continue here, as after they get the first down here, they would eventually find themselves in a 3rd and 7 situation, and on 3rd and 7 here, Carrera gets a snap, feels the pressure from Emma Wagman, and she tries to check it down to Scalisi, but I don't think she could quite see this pass coming, and so she drops it. So now it's 4th and 7 near midfield, and Ottawa is forced to punt it. Now Keiser, they take over after this punt hit the end zone, so it's a touchback, and so this is Keiser's 3rd drive here, and they get going, picking up right where they left off on 2nd and 2. Roden scrambles right, but does miss a open receiver here, but it doesn't matter, as a personal foul was thrown on Ottawa, so that makes it 1st and 12. After a batted down pass by the rusher Suzanne Kaufman, it's 2nd and 12 here, and Carrera throws a quick hitter to Chloe Griffin. That makes it a manageable 3rd and 4. On 3rd down, Roden makes the first rusher miss before scrambling, but Kaufman eventually catches up with her, stopping her short, so now it's 4th and 3. And so Keiser, they go for it on 4th and 3. Roden throws the out route to Kennedy Foster, who brings it in again for another first down past midfield. And so here we go, 1st down. Roden gets a snap, evades the rusher again, who's just kind of running around here doing what she wants, and scrambles for a solid gain. Maybe missed the receiver downfield, but still made something out of nothing. It's 2nd and 16. Keiser would call their first timeout here before they ran the 2nd down play. But after the timeout, Roden pretty deep here in shotgun, gets the snap, and then goes deep down the left sideline here, and this time connects with Brenna Ramirez, who is wide open, burning that defense for a 36-yard touchdown to the house as Keiser goes up 12-6 here. On the PAT, Roden throws a laser back to Ramirez over the middle, who brings it in, making it 13-6. Just a great play by Jasmine Roden and Brenna Ramirez, getting them on the board. Now, Ottawa, they try to get something going here before half, but are not able to do anything. And so going into half, Keiser leads 13-6, and they also get ball to start the third. So here we go, Keiser to start the third quarter, looking for a potential haymaker, and they get it. Roden gets the snap, throws it out to Kennedy Foster, who then pitches it to Adriana Rodriguez, running towards midfield, who then pitches it to Chloe Griffin, who then basically gets shoestring tackled. If it wasn't for the defender diving here and tripping her up, she definitely would have housed that. But Keiser with a huge haymaker to start the third quarter. That gives them a 1st and 10 past midfield on a gain of about 30 or so here. Following that, Roden throws the post route to Chloe Griffin, who makes it 1st and 19 in the red zone. After a quick check down and a scramble to make it 3rd and 9 here, Roden throws the out to Brianna Hernandez-Silva, who is stopped short. So now it's 4th and 4 here. Ottawa looking to stop the bleeding. And on 4th down, Roden drops back, throws it on kind of a low throw here, but had to have been to get through the defense, and unfortunately it is not caught by Brenna Ramirez. But a penalty is thrown against Ottawa, and so they're going to go ahead and replay 4th down. And on this 4th down try, Roden rolls right and finds her favorite target eventually in Kennedy Foster, who's basically waving her hands. But Roden throws it to her. She brings it in, and that makes it a 19-6 game, the 3rd touchdown of the game for Jasmine Roden. On the extra point, Roden throws it out to Ashley Clam, who brings in an all-hands catch. Great coverage here, but just an even better catch radius, who makes it 20-6 as Keiser has all the momentum. And that would continue as Ottawa would take over here, but on a 3rd and 1 play, it should be a simple 1st down play here. Madison Carrera tries to throw it over the middle, and it is just behind her receiver, and it is picked off by the Keiser linebacker, Samaya Bryant, who's looking to bury Ottawa here. And so here we go. Keiser takes over with the 1st and 1 here. Roden scrambles left to make it 1st and 15 in the red zone. So 1st down again. Roden throws the slant to Brianna Hernandez-Silva, who gets a good gain, making it 2nd and 5. Then on 2nd down, Roden just overthrows it just a little bit too much here, so that brings up 3rd and 5. And on 3rd and 5, Roden gets the snap, throws the out route high and above to Ashley Clam, who just makes an excellent catch here like she's been all day and gives Roden her 4th touchdown of the game. At this point, Keiser just delivered the knockout blow to go up 26-6 here. Now the PAT's no good here, but it is a 20-point lead, more than past the halfway point here in the 3rd quarter. Now, from here on out, Ottawa's just not able to get anything going here. They would continue to get 1st downs and punt, and Keiser would score one more touchdown here where Roden finds Ashley Clam on another out route here to go ahead and put them up 32-6. Will actually make it 33-6 going back to Ashley Clam, the freshman, to make it 33-6 here, as this game would be over pretty early. Keiser dominating this one throughout pretty much the entire thing here. Player of the game, I think, is pretty easy. It's Jasmine Roden. She was extremely sharp in this game and played arguably one of the best games ever in her career. An iconic one to go with her storied career so far even. And, you know, Ottawa got mercy ruled in this game, and here's where things get a little bit weird. I gotta bring you some fun facts here. This is the 2nd worst loss in Ottawa history. Ottawa program history, that is. They lose a 33-6 in their 2nd worst loss in Ottawa program history. But what makes this weird is that the worst loss in Ottawa's history happened on March 16th, 2022. So 2 years ago to this exact date here, Ottawa suffered their worst loss, a 31-0 shutout loss against Weber in Florida. I remember covering that one, and actually, you could probably go back and find the recap of that game back in 2022 there, but that is crazy. Now, Keiser was not able to get the shutout as they did allow that one long touchdown, but they still won 33-6 here. If they didn't allow that touchdown, this would definitely be the worst loss. But regardless, 33 points is the most that any team has ever scored on Ottawa here in these last couple of years. And I mean, it's crazy, man. It's definitely crazy. Keiser, they definitely earned this one, while Ottawa, I mean, they were just caught reeling at this point. They were just caught reeling, and they just did not look good here. But let me talk about Keiser first. This Keiser offense might be the greatest offense in women's college football history so far, I would say. I know we're only in like year 4 or 3 of this thing, but so far they are extremely stacked. Stud quarterback, receivers everywhere, both with speed and height. Kennedy Foster, Ashley Clam, those are 2 receivers who you could cover well, and they're still going to moss you, no matter how much coverage you put on him, because that's how tough they are. But then you got speedsters like Brennan Ramirez. You also have Chloe Griffin, Adriana Rodriguez, and Brianna Hernandez-Silva at center and utility as well. Brianna Hernandez-Silva with so much speed there. The number of times she got beat by Ottawa when she was at Kansas Wesleyan, insane. But you got her get back here as they just struggled to keep up with the speed of Keiser. And, they stopped him. They whooped on him badly, and this Ottawa defense could not stop them. Now, I will say this. Ottawa was without DJ Paris. I didn't see her dressed on the sideline. I didn't see her. I don't think I saw her on the sideline. I could be mistaken as they were on the far one. But that is a tough loss. Would she have made like a 20-point difference? I don't think so. I don't think any one player would make that big of a difference, especially on the defensive side of the ball. That's just kind of not how it works in football. And so that just kind of begs the question here. How deep could this Keiser team go? They won in the regular season, right? This happened in year 1, by the way, and then they lost in the national championship, and so there was that. But, this team looked so good and complete today, especially on offense. Their offense is electric. I'm just looking at their scores so far from this season here, and they've only had one game where they didn't score over 30 points, and ironically, that was against Florida Gateway, who they played on Friday and lost to 20-14. Other than that, outside of that one outlier, the lowest scoring game they had so far this year is this one, where they scored 33. Other than that, 53-0 against FMU, 52-0 against Point, 34-6 against Reinhardt, which is crazy because that is only a 1-point difference. So you're telling me that they are able to dominate this game similarly to how they dominated Reinhardt? That doesn't say as much about Keiser as it does Ottawa here. So let's go ahead and talk about Ottawa. It was a bad game. Look, losing DJ Paris is tough. Does that affect your defensive plan a lot? You still got veterans back there, who have had playing time in the past and started in the past. So I don't think it should be that much more different, and even then, a lot of the time, it felt like they usually just rushed Suze Kaufman, who did her thing and was great, but, it just felt like Ottawa was allowing a lot of out routes, and it's probably the scheme, right? It's probably the scheme. It's definitely the scheme there, but I don't know if those 5 to 10 yard gains are an acceptable result of the scheme that you are playing. That's a lot. 5 to 10 yards just on outs, and they scored a lot on those outs, and it just felt like, sometimes they were also in man, and they just don't match up great in man like that against the likes of Ashley Clam, Kennedy Foster. Who does, right? I think maybe St. Thomas, but they also have one of the top defenses in the entire country. So that's one exception, but You got to be a little bit better coached than that, I feel. So that's tough on that point. I mean, this offense for Keiser, they got into the red zone every offensive drive. And they scored on every offensive drive except for the one early on where they dropped an open touchdown, which was more on Keiser than Ottawa because she was still open. So there's that. And then let's talk about the offense here. The offense played even worse, I felt. Madison Carrera did not look like a top quarterback in the country. Now, part of that is, credit to the Keiser defense. They played well. They have some really good corners out there that are taking away some of those deep looks and whatnot. And the rush led by Emma Wagenman looked really good today as well. But, it just wasn't good. It just wasn't good. A lot of check downs, and it wasn't even like they would check it down and then get 5+ yards after that. They would check it down and get maybe 3. And that is not a winning formula, especially when there are some downs where they will get no yards at all. And then it's all right, well, now what? If you're averaging 3 yards a play after 4 plays, you only get 9 because on one of them you got 0, and it's still 4th and 11. That's not a winnable. I don't know. They just really struggled here. And the thing with this that makes this interesting is that Keiser pretty much only rushed 1 the entire time. And I was surprised that Ottawa didn't go to more double passes or had more double passes installed, considering the personnel they have on their team between Maya Quinn, Bailey Hodgins, Marley Spielberg, in addition to Madison Carrera, who could all throw it as well as run it and receive. And they just, the offense just looked stale. They just didn't look good. And I don't know if they were in their own minds after the loss, but you got to keep in mind as well, Keiser was also coming off of a loss to a JUCO. So I don't know. I don't think there's any excuses here. And you can't blame the play clock because, you got blown out this time. And yeah, I don't know. Some of this is definitely on the offense just not scoring enough here, not having just long drives. They didn't get into the red zone at all. Their one touchdown was a deep bomb. So, which could be attributed to just miscommunication or luck. It's up to you. Probably a little bit of both, honestly. And so if you're Ottawa, you look at this game and you're like, hey, you literally can't do this again. And look, this is an Ottawa team that has a loss away as an outside of Kansas and have come back and won the national championship, 2 months later. 1.5 months later, basically. In Atlanta, all 3 times. They've done this every time. But, the last couple of times, obviously, I was able to cover that Weber game. It was, they had to play that Weber game right after they lost to Thomas. It was a doubleheader. I understood them losing that one. And this one, they played St. Thomas, which is another weird coincidence. They both lost to a team with the word Thomas in it right before getting blown out on the same day, March 16th. So there you go. Away too, by the way. But anyways, in that game 2 years ago, I didn't think Weber was better than them. I think it just wasn't Ottawa's day. Now, I can't quite say that it just wasn't Ottawa's day when they lost to Keiser here, because Keiser also just looked better. Plain and simple. And, I said this in the season preview. They would have a top offense in the country, and they would be extremely dangerous with all the weapons they have as long as they play clean football, turnover-free football, which is what they did, right? They did they held up their end of the bargain and did what I thought they could do. But for a team like Ottawa, who's as seasoned as they are, who has as many wins as they do, who has as many great coaches and all that stuff, and has a great culture of winning and just playing with more pride than this is definitely a tough loss. Arguably one of the worst and probably the worst in program history. I would say arguably the worst in program history. It doesn't exactly show because they weren't able to score. In that Weber game years ago, they weren't able to score, which isn't that big of a it's a couple points difference, right? It's a couple points difference, but this one just felt so much more worse. And so Ottawa, they're going to have to figure some things out, but They play Thomas next here, which Gino is going to go ahead and recap. But anyways, Keiser wins big here. A big-time statement win to, I think, pretty much take over that number 1 spot in our power rankings. We'll see, though. But they win 33-6 over Ottawa. Jasmine Roden with 5 touchdowns. This is the first time Ottawa has been mercy ruled in exactly 2 years. March 16th, 2022, 2 years ago, on the road, just like this one. So there you go there.
What is going on, y'all? Gino here with the Playmakers Corner podcast, and I am very excited to bring you all a recap of a matchup between 2 top 4 teams in the country facing off in the Reinhardt Invitational. We have the number 1 PMC ranked Ottawa Braves of the KCAC going up against the number 4 PMC ranked Thomas Nighthawks of the Sunbelt Conference. Ottawa came into this Invitational undefeated, but came into this matchup fresh off of 2 tough losses to St. Thomas and Keiser on Friday and Saturday, respectively. Meanwhile, Thomas is fresh off of 2 wins against Life University and University of Fort Lauderdale, with both those games happening on Friday. Will Ottawa bounce back against a tough opponent, or will Thomas continue the Sun Belt Conference dominance? Let's find out together in this recap. Ottawa starts off with the ball here in the first quarter, 1st and 6 to start the game. A beautiful pass over the middle on the first snap from the QB Madison Carrera to Alyssa Linkus across midfield to start the game off hot for Ottawa. A check down pass to Mandolin Scalisi for a few yards, and then a curl route to Linkus along the sideline makes it 3rd and 1. Carrera then rolls right and tries to find Linkus, but it's tightly defended by Kiera Knight to make it 4th and 1. Then a short pass to Jaslyn Camacho is good for the first down to put Ottawa in the red zone. On 1st and 19, a play-action pass to Marley Spielberg on the skinny post gives Ottawa a big gain near the goal line. On 2nd and 7, a run play is stopped behind the line by the freshman Caitlin Herb for a loss of 5 yards to make it 3rd and 12. It's Herb again on the next play as she nearly gets the sack to force a check down pass incomplete. On 4th and 12, Thomas rushes 2 as the pass to the end zone is overthrown to force a turnover on downs. It's 1st and 7 to start off the drive for Thomas. A pitch outside to Nakira Brown makes it 2nd and 2, and then Kiana Cole makes the catch on the next play and pitches it to Aaliyah Wood for a few extra yards. 1st and 15 now for Thomas as the QB Alexa Wilson hits Kiera Knight along the sideline for a nice gain. Wilson then hit Aaliyah Wood on the slant as she jukes her way just short of the first down. On 3rd and 1, a short pass to Nakira Brown gives Thomas 1st and 18 across midfield. Alexa Wilson is dialed in early here as she finds Kiera Knight over the middle under pressure to make it 2nd and 9. Then Kiana Cole gets a great block and releases at the right time for the check down pass, but an illegal forward pass on the pitch from her makes it 3rd and 13. On the next play, Alexa Wilson finds Aaliyah Wood on the skinny post for a perfect pass and nice gain to give Thomas the first down in the red zone. 1st and 19 now for Thomas as Wilson hits Nakira Brown on a quick pass, and Brown takes that for about 8 yards. On the next play, Wilson can't find a receiver on 2nd down and decides to scramble for 6 yards to put Thomas at the 4-yard line. And that run takes us to the end of the first quarter. Still 0-0 in this one after 1. Into the second quarter now, it's 3rd and 4 for Thomas in the red zone. Alexa Wilson tries to find a receiver in the red zone, but the pass is nearly picked off by Farron Malauf. Sorry if I mispronounced that there. Timeout Thomas following that incompletion. Alexa Wilson takes the snap following the timeout on 4th down. She surveys, rolls right, and flicks it up to a crossing Margarita Pena for the Thomas touchdown. That PAT is no good following the touchdown, but Thomas leads 6-0 here early in the second quarter. 1st and 6 now for Ottawa as they prepare to answer. Madison Carrera takes the snap and lobs a nice one to Cynthia Holmes along the sideline with pressure from Caitlin Herb to make it 2nd and 1. A pass to Alyssa Linkus along the sideline is good for an Ottawa first down. On 1st and 12, Caitlin Herb gets right to the QB and gets a huge sack for Thomas to make it 2nd and 21. Carrera drops back to pass after the sack and lobs one over the middle to Cynthia Holmes, but the pass is overthrown and picked off by Kiera Knight to give the ball back to Thomas in Ottawa territory. It is 1st and 14 now for Thomas following that pick to start the drive for Thomas. Alexa Wilson hits Kiera Knight on the quick out to put Thomas in the red zone right away. On 1st and 20, the pass to the end zone is overthrown, and a false start on the next snap pushes Thomas back 5 to make it 2nd and 25. Wilson rolls right under pressure and finds Nakira Brown, and Brown pitches it back to Margarita Pena for a gain of about 8. On 3rd and 17, the pass to the end zone is overthrown. 4th down here as Wilson drops back and finds Giselle Jones in a tight window as Jones sneaks in for the Thomas touchdown. That was a super tough throw and catch there to put Thomas up 12-0 here in the second quarter after the PAT fell incomplete. Ottawa has 1st and 6 now as they really got to score quick if they want to stay in this one. Madison Carrera hits Jaslyn Camacho near the sideline to make it 2nd and 1. And then on 2nd down, Ottawa decides to go deep here as the pass is picked off here by Giselle Jones to give Thomas the ball back again in Ottawa territory. It's 1st and 6 for Thomas following the pick towards the end of the first half here as they try and go up 3 scores. A quick hitter to Kiana Cole goes for about 3 yards on 1st down to make it 2nd and 3, and then a timeout from Thomas following that play. Following the timeout, Alexa Wilson hits a Cole again on a check down as a Cole runs it into the red zone to give Thomas a big 1st down here. On 1st and 17, Wilson hits Kiera Knight on a slant for 6 yards, and then a quick out to Knight again on the next play and makes it 3rd and 9. Timeout Thomas, and that is their final of the half. The pass following the timeout is intended for Maddie Haugland, but it is overthrown in the end zone as Thomas prepares for another 4th down try in the red zone. On 4th down, a jump ball to Nakira Brown in tight coverage is nearly caught, but it falls incomplete to force a turnover on downs. It is 1st and 11 for Ottawa to start their drive here. A quick curl to Jaslyn Camacho makes it 2nd and 5, and then on 2nd down, Carrera rolls right and throws across her body, and the pass is picked off by Sanaya Glover as Thomas has the ball once again in Ottawa territory following a turnover. 1st and 10 for Thomas in the waning seconds of the first half with another chance to go up 3 scores. Wilson drops back and is under heavy pressure from Suzanne Kaufman as she lobs a prayer deep, but that pass is picked off by Talia McGinnis. That interception would end up being the last play of the half as the buzzer sounded on the return at halftime. Thomas leads Ottawa 12-0. Heading into the third quarter now, it's 1st and 6 for Thomas as they have the ball to start the second half. Offsides on Ottawa makes it 1st and 1 for Thomas. Good pressure from Suzanne Kaufman forces a bad pass over the middle that's nearly picked. On 2nd and 1, a slant over the middle is dropped. 3rd down now as Alexa Wilson drops back and finds Nakira Brown on a quick hitter that's nearly picked off, but Brown fakes the pitch and takes it for a nice gain and 1st down for Thomas. On 1st and 9, a quick out to Kiera Knight gets Thomas near midfield, and then another quick out to Aaliyah Wood near the sideline gives Thomas a 1st down across midfield. 1st and 11 here for Thomas as Wilson throws a dangerous pass to Kiera Knight, but it is caught for a nice gain to make it 2nd and 1. A quick hitter goes to Aaliyah Wood on the next play that puts Thomas in the red zone here. On 1st and 15, Suzanne Kaufman nearly gets the sack, but Wilson is able to hit Wood on a check down as Wood puts the burners on for a big gain. On 2nd and 6, a holding call on the flagpole after the catch from Aaliyah Wood puts Thomas half the distance to the goal. 2nd and 3 now as Wilson takes the snap and finds a wide open Nakira Brown on the slant for a Thomas touchdown. That puts Thomas up 18-0 after the long-winded touchdown drive. First and 6 for Ottawa, down 3 scores late in the game. Caitlin Herb nearly gets the sack, but Madison Carrera is able to find Alyssa Linkus on a check down for a first down. On first and 19, Carrera finds Jaslyn Camacho along the sideline for about 8 yards, and then another pass to Camacho in the same spot gives Ottawa another 5 yards to make it 3rd and 6. On third down, Carrera rolls right to avoid the sack and lobs an absolute beauty that is caught by Cynthia Holmes near the red zone for an awesome, much-needed throw and catch. First and 3 for Ottawa as a pass to the end zone is batted down by Aaliyah Wood as she had the receiver completely locked down there. Nice pressure from Caitlin Herb forces Carrera to throw a bad pass across her body that falls incomplete. On third down, Madison Carrera throws it to the second QB, Marley Spielberg, who throws it to Cynthia Holmes, who pitches it to Jaslyn Camacho for a big gain to put Ottawa deep in the red zone. First and 4 here as the pass to the end zone falls incomplete. And that takes us to the end of the third quarter. Thomas leads Ottawa 18-0 as we head into the final quarter of the game. Second and 4 in the red zone for Ottawa to start the fourth quarter. Pressure from Janae Scott as she bats down the pass, plus a penalty on Ottawa makes it 3rd and 14. An illegal forward pass on the next play pushes Ottawa back even further, so it is now 3rd and 23. On third down, Madison Carrera rolls to her right and lobs one to the end zone in double coverage, and the ball is somehow caught by Jaslyn Camacho for an amazing contested touchdown grab. That makes it 18-6 following the failed PAT. First and 6 here for Thomas as they try to put this game away. A check down pass to Nakira Brown goes for 5 to make it 2nd and 1. And then a quick pass to Nija Seals, and Seals pitches it to Kiara Knight to give Thomas a first down. First and 14 here as Alexa Wilson hits Kiara Knight on a quick pass to continue to move the ball downfield. On 2nd and 4, Nakira Brown takes the pass and tries to pitch it, but her flag is pulled by Abby Brown before that can happen to make it 3rd and 1 near midfield. Cole takes the short pass over the middle and pitches it back to Nakira Brown for a first down across midfield. First and 14 now for Thomas as Wilson takes advantage of the soft coverage and hits Nija Seals along the sideline for an 8-yard gain. Then the second down pass is immediately going to Kiara Knight, who takes that for a big-time gain into the red zone. 1st and 9 now for Thomas. Wilson rolls to her right and finds a crossing Aaliyah Wood in stride to make it 2nd and 3 near the goal line. Wilson rolls to her left now, but her receiver is smothered as Suzanne Kaufman gets the flagpole at the line of scrimmage. 3rd and 3 here as Alexa Wilson sends Kiara Knight in motion and hits her in the end zone for a Thomas touchdown to put this game completely away. That touchdown makes it 24-6 here, deep into the fourth quarter, as this game is all but done. It's Ottawa ball, 1st and 6. Quick pass to Cynthia Holmes makes it 2nd and 2, and then Kaylin Herb gets good pressure once again, and this time gets the sack for a loss of 2. On 3rd and 4, Madison Carrera finds Bailey Hodgins, who pitches it back to Jaslyn Camacho to make it 1st and 10. A quick out to Hodgins goes for 5 yards, and then another quick out to Hodgins is dropped, so it is now 3rd and 5 for Ottawa. The same exact play to Bailey Hodgins on the next snap gives Ottawa a first down across midfield. On 1st and 17, another quick out to Cynthia Holmes for 7 yards, and then the exact same play is complete to Hodgins to make it 3rd and 4. A pass to Jaslyn Camacho along the sideline puts Ottawa in the red zone. On 1st and 19, Camacho gets hit again and goes out of bounds for a 9-yard gain. On 2nd and goal, Carrera rolls to her right and lobs it up for Cynthia Holmes, who makes an awesome diving catch in the end zone for an Ottawa touchdown. It is 24-12 deep in the fourth quarter here as Thomas basically let Ottawa complete quickouts for the entire length of the field. And that would be our final score in this one as Thomas takes down the number 1 in our PMC Power Rankings, the Ottawa Braves, 24-12 in a dominant win. What an awesome win for the Thomas Nighthawks as they move to 5-1 on the season and are undoubtedly going to be moving up in the power rankings this week. Your PMC Playmaker of the game is going to go to the freshman rusher Caitlin Herb, who finished with 2 sacks, multiple tackles for loss, and numerous pressures throughout the game. She forced multiple bad passes as well and was, in my opinion, the biggest difference maker in this game. Someone who also had a terrific game was the sophomore QB Alexa Wilson, who spread the ball all around the field with ease and showed some great skills in and out of the pocket. Her receivers Kiera Knight, Aaliyah Wood, Nakira Brown, Kiana Cole, and Giselle Jones all had major contributions on offense, as well as Knight, Wood, and Jones having big games on defense as well. The Nighthawks are an all-around great unit that is masterfully coached as well. I am very excited for their Keiser game next Saturday. As for the Ottawa Braves, this was an extremely rough weekend for them to say the least. Their 12 points in this game was their most all weekend, but both of those touchdowns were heavily defended in garbage time. The Braves really struggled on defense as Alexa Wilson picked their zone apart play after play, and on offense, those 2 interceptions in the first half on unnecessary deep balls ended up turning into touchdown drives for Thomas. I'm not worried about Ottawa in the KCAC, but they are going to have a lot to figure out before the national tournament if they want to repeat as champions. With that recap all wrapped up, I will see you all in the next recap where we will be checking out what happened in the Reinhardt versus Point game. See y'all soon. What's good, everyone? Gino here, and I am back with the next recap in the Reinhardt Invitational for Saturday, March 16th, where we have the hosting PMC 9th-ranked Reinhardt University Eagles facing off against the PMC 17th-ranked Point University Skyhawks. Reinhardt is coming off of a loss to Weber. Meanwhile, Point is still looking for their first win in program history. Let's go ahead and see how this one shook out. Starting off in the first quarter here is Reinhardt starting off with the ball here, 1st and 6. And on the first play of the game, it is a bomb from Alicia Wyatt to Deshae Branham on a perfect throw down the sideline as Branham burns the defender for a Reinhardt touchdown. The PAT is good, so Reinhardt leads 7-0 early after that amazing touchdown play. It is Point ball now, 1st and 6. A deep pass falls incomplete, but an offsides penalty makes it 1st and 1 for Point. The QB Maddie Motts finds Leia Prather as Prather flips it back to Motts for a massive gain across midfield. 1st and 12 for Point after the big play. Motts then hits Jordan Palmer on a slant for a gain of about 8 yards. Then on 2nd and 4, Anaya Showers gets the clutch sack to make it 3rd and 15. Motts tries to throw it to the second QB, Caitlin Rayner, but that pass is nearly picked off and well defended by Adriana Brusmeyer. On 4th down, Maddie Motts hits the second QB, Caitlin Rayner, and Rayner throws a bullet to the end zone, and it is caught by Destiny Wilson for the Point touchdown. That touchdown in PAT ties this one up 7 apiece, still early here in the first quarter. It is Reinhardt ball now, 1st and 6. Point gets good pressure as Esther Udo forces a check down pass incomplete after almost getting the sack. Elisa Wyatt sees the double rush and splits the defenders as she takes it up the middle for a 1st down. On 1st and 11, a quick hitter to Ebony Cooper is stopped after a yard, and then the 2nd down pass is complete but goes for no gain. 3rd and 10 here as Anaya Showers takes the pitch for a big gain and jukes her way across midfield for a 1st down. On 1st and 11, Alicia Wyatt rolls right under pressure and hits a crossing Ebony Cooper in stride for another 1st down to put Reinhardt in the red zone. On 1st and 12, Esther Udo gets to the QB right away and gets the big-time sack for a loss of 10. And then on 2nd down, Alicia Wyatt sees the pressure and hits Anaya Showers on the check down, and Showers absolutely scorches the defense for a Reinhardt touchdown. Reinhardt leads now 13-7, still in the first quarter here. Point ball now, 1st and 6 as they prepare to answer. Maddie Motts hits Kyra Hart for a few yards to put them close to the first down, and then a quick pass to Caitlin Rayner as she decides to run it for a first down. On 1st and 15, Alexandria Jackson takes the pass along the sideline for a gain of 7. And then following a couple of incomplete passes, Point decides to go for it on 4th down. Motts takes the snap and runs it right and just barely makes it across midfield for the Point first down. And that play takes us to the end of the first quarter. Reinhardt leads 13-7 heading into the second quarter. It's 1st and 20 for Point, just past midfield to start the second quarter. A double pass from Motts to Rayner, back to Motts. It goes for about 8 yards. And then a double pass to Rayner again as Rayner goes deep to a receiver, but that falls incomplete. But pass interference on Reinhardt moves Point up 10 yards to make it 2nd and 2. A quick pass to Leia Prather over the middle gets Point into the red zone. 1st and 16 now as a pitch to Kyra Hart is immediately stopped by NAIA Showers for a gain of only 1. Motts rolls right and pitches it to Kyra Hart again for a gain of about 3. On 3rd and 12, it's a double pass to Caitlin Rayner as she surveys, avoids the sack, and hits Alexandria Jackson for a Point touchdown. Very tough play there for the score. The score is all tied up at 13 following the failed PAT. Reinhardt gets the ball back with a chance to take the lead towards the end of the first half. A quick pass to Anaya Moore goes for 5 yards, and then Esther Ito gets her 2nd sack of the half on the next snap to make it 3rd and 11. She is having a dominant game so far as Reinhardt is forced to call a timeout. Following the timeout, Elisa Wyatt finds a crossing Kalia Wimbush for a big gain in first down. 1st and 14 now for Reinhardt. Following a drop pass, Wyatt hits Anaya Moore for about 4 yards. On 3rd and 10, Wyatt finds Ebony Cooper, who almost takes it all the way, but she still gets them the first down across midfield. Wyatt finds Cooper again as Cooper flicks it back to Wyatt as she runs it for a gain of about 2. On 2nd and 16, Wyatt finds Cooper on the slant for a 3-yard gain. On 3rd and 13, a flag on Reinhardt after a big play makes it 4th and 10, and then a pass on 4th down is dropped to make it a turnover on downs. 1st and 10 for Point following that defensive stand. Kyra Hart takes a quick pitch across midfield for the first down, and on 1st and 18, it's a double pass as Caitlin Rayner finds Jordan Palmer over the middle for a gain of 6 yards. Maddie Motts hits Leia Prather over the middle, and she pitches it back to Motts, but she drops the pitch, so it's now 3rd and 12. Caitlin Rayner catches the ball from Motts and nearly runs it for the first down, but it's 4th and 1 here for Point as Maddie Motts runs it up the middle for the easy first down to put Point in the red zone. On 1st and 14, Rayner takes the pass from Motts and decides to run it for a nice gain. It's 2nd and 6 as Point calls timeout with less than 30 seconds remaining. Motts' flag is pulled by Anaya Showers on the QB run up the middle as Point calls timeout again. On 3rd and 3, it's Rayner under center as she takes the snap and fakes a double pass to Motts and keeps it herself as she runs it in for her 3rd touchdown of the half. Point leads 19-13 now with little time left in the half. And that touchdown takes us to halftime. Point leads Reinhardt 19-13. It's Point ball, 1st and 6 to start the half with a chance to go up 2 scores. Maddie Motts avoids a sack and finds Kyleo Warriels on a check down, and Warriels takes that for a huge gain in first down. On 1st and 5, a corner route is incomplete, and then Deshae Branham gets a sack for a loss of 6 to make it 3rd and 11. Janaea Thomas sacks Caitlin Rayner before they can do the double pass to make it 4th and 20 as Point sets up to punt. Janaea Thomas gets a solid return on the punt, but an illegal block makes it 1st and 11 in their own territory. Reinhardt calls timeout before their first snap. Following the timeout, a short pass to Kalia Wimbush goes for a first down across midfield after a missed flagpole. 1st and 15 now. It's another quick pass to Wimbush for 7 yards, and then a drop pass makes it 3rd and 13. On 3rd down, a deep pass is overthrown along the sideline. 4th down now for Reinhardt as Alicia Wyatt takes the snap and takes it herself up the middle to put Reinhardt in the red zone. On 1st and 19, a tip pass is nearly picked off, and then a drop pass makes it 3rd and 19. The pass into the red zone on 3rd down is nearly caught, but it was dropped yet again as Reinhardt prepares to go for it. The pass is caught by NAIA Moore on the next play, but she is just short of the end zone for a turnover on downs. Those drops really ruined that drive for Reinhardt. 1st and 10 for point to start the drive. Deshae Branham gets to the QB as the handoff falls incomplete. And then on 2nd and 10, Adriana Brusmeyer stops a pitch play right away for no gain. And that takes us to the end of the 3rd quarter. Point leads Reinhardt 19-13 heading into the final quarter of the game. It's 3rd and 10 for point to start the 4th quarter. Deshae Branham gets a big-time sack to make it 4th and 11, and point will punt. Janaea Thomas takes the punt across midfield to give them solid field position to start the drive. Esther Udo gets good pressure right away to force a dangerous pass deep that's overthrown. Then on 2nd and 12, Alicia Wyatt finds Kalia Wimbush on a quick hitter as Wimbush takes that into the red zone. On 1st and 15, Wyatt misses an open receiver as she's under pressure. And then on 2nd down, it's instant pressure again, but Wyatt is able to find Blue McFarland over the middle for a nice gain. On 3rd and 9, the pass along the sideline is incomplete. 4th down here for Reinhardt as Wyatt has an open receiver and hits her in stride, but the pass is somehow dropped. That would have been a touchdown to tie it for sure, but instead it is a turnover on downs. That's an extremely tough turnover on downs for Reinhardt as drops continue to plague their offense in the red zone. 1st and 16 for point as they try to put this game away. Maddie Motz avoids a sack and finds Kylia Wariels on the check down for a gain of 4. And then Janaea Thomas somehow avoids an offsides penalty and chases down Caitlin Rayner to force a dangerous deep pass that falls incomplete. On 3rd and 2, Rayner takes the snap and throws it to the turf to avoid a sack as the refs call intentional grounding on the throw. 3rd and 7 here for point as Rayner throws another deep ball that is swatted down by Ebony Cooper to force point to punt again. It's 1st and 13 for Reinhardt in point territory following the punt. Alicia Wyatt avoids the sack and finds Blue McFarland for a huge gain, but an illegal block makes it 1st and 18. Wyatt runs to her right and tries to get a receiver deep, but it flies out of bounds. Timeout Reinhardt. It's 2nd and 18 following the timeout as Wyatt finds NAIA Moore for a 5-yard gain. Then on 3rd and 13, a pass is overthrown into heavy coverage and falls incomplete to make it 4th and 13. Wyatt then tries to find a receiver over the middle with 2 rushers looking for the sack, but the pass is broken up by Destiny Ellison to force a turnover on downs. It's 1st and 7 for point to start their drive. A QB run from Motz goes for 2 yards, and then another QB power left gets point the clutch first down across midfield. 1st and 18 now as Reinhardt calls timeout to stop the clock, but point kneels the ball out anyway as the Point Skyhawks get their first win in program history with a 19-13 win over the 9th-ranked Reinhardt Eagles. Congratulations to Point for their first win in program history. They looked very good throughout this game, and hopefully this win gives them some positive momentum for the rest of the season. Your PMC Playmaker of the game is going to go to Caitlin Rayner for her 3 touchdown performance, with 2 of them through the air and another one on the ground. I wasn't a huge fan of their 2 QB system after watching them in week 1 against Life, but they really made it work in this one and really just looked like a completely different team on both sides. Rayner and Maddie Motz are a solid duo and definitely have some chemistry that you can see when they play. I also want to shout out Esther Udo for a terrific performance as a rusher in this game as well. The freshman was a menace going after the QB, and she is definitely going to be on our radar for some end-of-season rewards. Congrats again to the Point Skyhawks for an awesome first win, and hopefully there is many, many more to come. As for Reinhardt, I think their ultimate demise in this game was the red zone drops. They had at least 2 potential scoring drives ruined by some horrific drops that would have completely changed the outcome of this game. They have some great athletes like Deshae Branham and Janaea Thomas that are definitely big difference makers on offense and defense and special teams as well. Plus they have a freshman QB in Alicia Wyatt who definitely has a lot of potential as well. Wyatt has some big plays throughout this game and showed some great poise under pressure at times, but like I said before, those drops just absolutely killed their ability to put points on the board. I still like Reinhardt as a team, and I definitely think they'll bounce back, but this is a tough loss nonetheless for them. With that outro out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and check out here. Thank you all for listening to this recap, and I will see you all in Week 6. Peace out.
Huge shout out to Gino and Coach V for absolutely crushing coverage this past weekend on the Reinhardt Invitational here. And, there are a couple of games that we weren't able to catch the streams of. However, there are a few instances here where we do have the scores at least. I tried to look for box scores whenever I could, but not always possible. So let's just go ahead and talk about the games real quick that just need some points assigned to it here. And I'm going to go ahead and read those in conjunction, those score sheets with our prior week's power rankings, just to kind of give everyone an idea of where we were at heading into these games. So one of the games that we did not get to cover in full detail was Point versus Milligan here. Point came into the week, ranked 17th, and Milligan came in tied for 11th here. In this game, Milligan here is going to get the win. This was on Friday, March 15th, so they pull out that W 25-13, and, it just seems that Point at least had gotten a win that day. That was against Pasco Hernando State College, which I'm not going to talk too much about the JUCOs who were there, as it looked like a lot of developmental opportunities for the NAIA programs. But shout out to the JUCOs who were there pushing and getting better and, probably setting up some pipelines as well. But I digress a little bit here. Milligan able to pull off that win over Point, as they, according to our power rankings, should have. And then the only other game that it looks like was between two NAIA squads, was Thomas versus Life University. Thomas gets the big win, 31-0 to start their weekend. Now, obviously, there were some notable games here, like Life getting a win over Pasco, 47-0, Point 16-0. And then you also had another JUCO here, UFTL, who lost to Milligan here. And then also Keiser losing to Florida Gateway. However, this was definitely a developmental game, not one where all the starters were in. But those were the games on Friday that we did not get to cover in full here. And then moving to Saturday's games, there were 4 matchups between NAIA opponents here, that being Keiser Milligan, STU Milligan, Weber versus Point, and Life versus Campbellsville here. And so in these games, Milligan, with that double header, of course, definitely had their work cut out for them against Keiser. That was just not, I'm not sure what else we'd expect here. Keiser gets the win 35-0 over Milligan. And then Milligan, right after that, plays immediately STU. So 2 of the top 5 teams in the country heading into the week, 2 of the top 6 teams in this country, but they also struggle there. They do get on the board, but do fall to the Bobcats 39-6. Keiser and STU remaining unblemished on their weekend against NAIA opponents. Following that, though, you have Weber and Point. That game was at 4 p.m. in Georgia. So Weber pulls off a very close win, 28-24 here. And Weber with a pretty good weekend, honestly, seeing as how they defeat both Reinhardt and Point in that weekend. They lose to Florida Gateway College, but, like I said, these JUCO games are really hard to grade, honestly, for what they got. And, in their wins, they were heavily aided. You guys already probably should have listened to the Weber versus Reinhardt game, but in the Skyhawks game, you had Durand, Zoe Mello, Gabby Friend-Joes, who scored from Wilson here, and then Caitlin Sigmundi, shout out PMC fan Caitlin there, would pitch an interception to Henry for a touchdown here. That's Jasmine Henry and Cheyenne Durand, by the way, for those first and last names here. And so Weber goes 2-1 over the weekend, but I would really say 2-0 considering that those two wins were against NAIA opponents, and I think you got to be pretty happy with that. And then Life University here pulls off an upset of some sort here over Campbellsville, I would say. 12-6 being the final score there. Life, that would wrap up their weekend there. And from the prior game, Point would have one more game, which go ahead and listen to the recap for that one. But all the games that we missed there, we had Milligan beating Point, Thomas beating Life on Friday, then Keiser and STU beating Milligan, Weber beating Point, and then finally Life beating Campbellsville. And that does it for the weekend, at least at Georgia here. We're going to go ahead and hop back into some KCAC action here, and then I'm going to wrap up the week from Sunday.
All right, now let's go ahead and talk about some KCAC action here from March 16th, Saturday, 2024. We had number 10 Midland hosting team tied for 11th in Southwestern, a team just above them here in this one. And this wasn't exactly a close game, so I'll try to go over this relatively quick here. But, Midland would win pretty big at home. Ioane Kao was on top of it. She would get the party started here. I guess this offense would get the party started with a direct snap to Michaela Nunez in the red zone, who would corral this one. It was almost out of hand here. And then pitch it to Elia Livingston, who was in motion and walks it in to give them the 6-0 lead. So there you go. Their PAT would be no good. But Midland will get on the board there pretty quickly. Ioane Kao leading a very methodical and good drive. By the way, extremely windy in Midland in Nebraska as well for this one, but it didn't seem to affect this Midland team at all on this first drive. Now, Southwestern would get started here with about 7:06 left, but would go 3 and out. First off, just looking really committed to running the ball, and that just didn't work out for them. Also, on 3rd and 1, a drop snap on a direct one would go ahead and set them back, so they would have to punt. Midland were not able to get anything going on their side, though, so they would punt back. Southwestern will not be able to get anything going over there, as they are trying to throw it, but it's just not super on the mark, and so that would eventually bring up a 3rd and 19 here, but it would be the top of the second when we get into this one. And so 3rd and 19 at the top of the second quarter, Miranda Dooley at quarterback, the freshman, she throws it over the middle, but it is behind her receiver, and so that's picked off by Emily Farron, who sets them up with a 1st and 20 just past midfield for Midland. Now Midland, Angel Ioane Kao and quarterback throws a nice deep curl route to Michaela Nunez, who gets some great yards after the catch here, give them a nice 1st and 8 situation in the red zone. And on 1st down, Ioane Kao finds Emily Farron wide open on the left side in the flat, who walks it in, giving them the 12-0 lead. Southwestern will then get the ball and go 3 and out here. Midland would get the ball. They wouldn't go 3 and out. They would get a 1st down on a nice little handoff to Jocelyn Lopez, but then they would punt it. Southwestern would then get the ball here, and they would get a pretty big play here on 2nd and 1, where Miranda Dooley got the snap, rolled all the way left, and then just launches one deep to her receiver, Tegan Smith. By this point, her defender fell down, so that happened. That allowed her to haul in a pretty nice catch here, a huge one to get them in a 1st and 4 situation past midfield. They would actually then get in the red zone after Dooley would scramble to get them in there, so now it's 1st and 14. And on 1st down, Dooley checks it down to Tana Weckworth, who gets a couple, but would only be 2nd and 11, then the 2-minute warning would hit, and then Dooley would get the snap following the 2-minute warning. She would roll right and throw a pass just behind her receiver again, and this time it is intercepted, a one-handed interception by Lila Elizalde, I want to say. Excuse me if I'm saying that wrong, but she ends that drive right there and then. And yeah, unfortunately, that would be the most productive drive Southwestern would have all day. Later on in this quarter, Dooley would throw another interception, her 3rd, to Lyle Livingston, but Midland would not be able to score here. So they go into half with a 12-0 lead, but would slowly build on that in the second half, have a very strong second half where Ioane Kao will just go off here. First throwing a nice post route throw to Alyssa Butler to make it 18-0. Then later on in the 4th quarter, throwing this post route basically again, but this time to Emily Farron to make it 24-0. And then Midland would score one more after picking off Miranda Dooley one more time to make it 32-0 as they just dominate this one, winning big here against Southwestern. Player of the game had to be Angel Ioane Kao. She played a great football game here and did a good job. I have some stats here which I'm going to read off. Ioane Kao, 25 of 37 for 277 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Also had 24 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown, and it looks like Lyle Livingston got a rushing touchdown. As far as receiving goes, Michaela Nunez led them with 5 receptions for 94 yards, leading them in yards. Aliyah Livingston right behind her with 6 for 62. Emily Farron with 3 receptions for 27 yards and 2 touchdowns. Those 2 would lead the team there. And then Alyssa Butler having that other touchdown. On defense here, they were able to get 4 interceptions picked off by Aliciana Patterson, Emily Farron, Olivia Dominguez-Millsap, and Aliyah Livingston. Continuing to talk about the defense here, Michaela Nunez kind of co-led or tri-led here with Emily Farron and Mayana Seegers with 3 tackles each. Like I said, 4 interceptions made by this defense here, which was big time. For Southwestern, they just didn't play a good game. They looked really young here. I'm not going to lie. Just looked really young, both on the coaching side and the offensive side here. And, you know, they also have a pretty small roster. So as time goes on, that fatigue just kind of settles in. Miranda Dooley struggling here. 8 of 22, 92 yards, 4 touchdowns. Also only had 24 yards. Tegan Smith with 48 yards, that long of 37, which I talked about, really jump-started their one successful drive. Viviana Solis right behind her, though, with 3 receptions for 26. On defense here, they got no picks, but Aaliyah Hansen had 15 total tackles, which was big time. She led the entire defense in tackles there, but just really not able to compete here. Midland, though, let me talk about them. They took care of business, looked really good on offense. Defensively, they did what they had to do, and, you know, they stopped, honestly, a pretty simple Southwestern team that looked nervous throwing in the wind here, and that would hurt them as they would throw 4 picks. You know, you could call it bad weather or whatever, but you got to learn how to play in that, especially being in the Midwest. So not too much sympathy there, but they're going to learn and they're going to continue to get better. So you got to give them that credit, as Midland is a very veteran led team. I would say very veteran heavy team. So there you go. They're used to it by this point. And that made all the difference in this one, as Midland, like I said, won big 32-0 over Southwestern.
And to wrap up our slate of games from this past weekend, I'm going to go ahead and recap here the Midland versus Baker game on St. Patrick's Day, which happy St. Patrick's to all of our listeners here. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it here. So in this game was hosted by Midland here. And yeah, Baker coming in super hot off an upset win against Kansas Wesleyan here. And let's see how it goes. So Midland is to start here, and nothing really comes to fruition on first down, but On second down, Livingston catches for a first down all the way to the 29-yard line. Now, following a drop on first down, Midland calls a play-action roll right that is tipped by 2 Warriors and still drops. So now we're facing 3rd and 11, and an incompleted pass towards the left is going to bring up 4th and 11, and Midland at this point is heading into the wind. It was said by the announcers that the wind was about 26 miles an hour for a handful of this game, with gusts mainly. So lots of wind and definitely an interesting call here, but not to be feared as Angel Ione finds number 14, Emily Farron, with a crazy over-the-head snag to get a first down and past midfield. First down, they have a short pass, and Destiny Martinez makes the flagpole for a short gain here. Now, Destiny Martinez follows that up with another flagpole to minimize that gain, and it is 3rd and 13, with Midland calling a shot down the middle of the field, but the pass is a little too far, and now is 4th down and 13. There's going to be another pass down the right sideline towards Livingston on the target, but she does not quite get her feet in bounds, and is a turnover on downs. Baker getting the football on their own 33-yard line with about 6 minutes in the first quarter. But the very first play is kind of a sign of things to come on this drive, as Lila Elizalde, number 10, records a sack on the very first play for a loss of 6. Waller just did not feel the pressure here, did not show that presence. Now, on second down, Waller does evade a few flagpoles, but is eventually stopped at the 37, and now it is 3rd and 3, which is very manageable after that loss of 6 put them outside of the 30. The wind is to their back here, and they dial up a quick pass to number 5, Kayla Harrison, who gets a first down into the 38 of Midland here. Quick snap, quick pass right up the middle, gets to the 29-yard line. And on second down, there's a pass left in the backfield, but Farron gets a flagpole for loss here and sets up 3rd and 11 here. Now, Baker on this play, they pump fake, but Elizalde does not buy it and gets her second sack of the drive here, pushing Baker back towards that 40-yard line. And Baker's actually going to punt. They do have the wind at their back, but the wind is a bit too much, as this punt is just a touchback sailing through the end zone. Midland has a minute 42 in the first quarter to go on their own 14-yard line, and they call up their bread and butter here, the speed option with Nunez picking up a few yards. Then we have a play-action pass back to Lopez, who stopped just shy of the first down and is 3rd and inches. The Warriors motion the slot player into the backfield, and they run speed option right that might gain a first down, but a penalty on Baker for illegal contact guarantees the first down all the way to the 29-yard line, and that will conclude the first quarter. Still goose eggs on the board for both these squads here, but promising offensive plays and first downs were to be had. Now in the second quarter, Midland has 4 players in the backfield, but no significant gain comes out of their play design, and they face second and about 10. They dial up a completion to number 23 on a drag route that picks up a few, setting up 3rd and 6, and then a great strike down the seam once again to 23, sets up 1st and 5 inside the Baker side of the field on the 25-yard line. Livingston again catches a quick hitch right that gets to the 19-yard line for a first down. On first down here, Angel evades the rusher with a crazy hip swing, steps up and dots up Michaela Nunez here, who makes a move and scores. The PAT is no good, but a 6-0 lead at 9:27 in the first half left is at least all right. So we're feeling good here. Baker looking to respond, and Waller comes out, looks left, throws left, and while the coverage is tight, the pass is not super on target, and that's going to be incomplete. Keep in mind, Baker is now heading into the wind at this point. They had the wind at their backs in the first quarter, so now they got 26 miles an hour pushing against them at times. And they seem a little rattled here as they do commit a false start penalty. Now, Midland calls a blitz, and that forces a quick pass that only gains 1. On 3rd and 10, they have split out back. They have a split out back who slides in and sets a good shadow block with Waller rolling right and finding a wide open receiver who bodies it into the 24-yard line. The quick snap to Waller in the up back position gets a quick pass to the 27-yard line. So a little bit more of a gain here as they're starting to kind of move the ball here. Now, on the next play, Waller throws right to Zabaleta, who kind of panics during a throwback, but the throwback is incomplete and a backwards lateral, which puts them all the way back inside their own 20-yard line, and this huge loss will result in a Baker punt. Midland catches it in stride and returns it to the 23-yard line with 4 minutes and 52 seconds remaining. Midland comes out, they run a motion play action where they try and sneak it over the middle, but it falls incomplete. On the following play, Baker brings 2, and the pressure forces a incompletion, and it is now 3rd and 3, and Midland will take a timeout with 3:43 left to go in the first half. They tile up a dump off left to number 14, where the ball just sticks to Farron's hands, and they get a first down all the way into the 15-yard line. On first down and goal, Baker brings 2 again, but Ione gets the ball off to Farron, who catches and benefits from a few missed flagpoles to get inside the 5-yard line. On this second down play, they try to dial up the backside slant, but it is very well covered. Third down, snap to Angel, and Lopez sells a really good shadow block and leaks left across the formation where she is wide open on the quick dump and hops into the end zone here. Midland is now up 12-0, even without the conversion, with just a minute 32 in the half. Baker, trying to see if they can pull off 90 seconds or less, has a motion and tries a pass that is nearly a pick six, but not quite brought in by Nunez here. On second down, Waller looks right, and it tips off of a Wildcat wideout and almost into the arms of a Midland defender. So back-to-back passes that almost result in turnovers, but they are still alive here. Third down, they run a speed option left that is pitched to Zabaleta, who gets a first down to the 22-yard line. On first down, Waller freezes the defender and accelerates left for a decent gain with about 40 seconds to go. And then a swing pass out right is going to be quickly swallowed up by Millsop, who's all over the play and makes it 2nd and 9. Double pass is incomplete here, and following another not positive play, it is 4th down with 24 seconds left, and Midland will still have a little bit of time. They stack 3 receivers left and call a fake screen deep pass to the backside to number 3 Butler, who gets across the field, and they burn a timeout with 15 seconds left. Now on the 29-yard line going in, see if they can squeeze in one more score here. Angel dumps off to Nunez, and they use another timeout after getting to the 25-yard line, and 7 seconds are left. They call a shot left that is caught by Millsop. However, it is out of bounds, and now the Warriors only have 1 play left. Baker calls a timeout here. There's a great pass made by Angel rolling right, but it is dropped, and that ends the half. At halftime, Midland is leading 12-0, and I think that they're moving the ball pretty effortlessly when they aren't trying to force feed some weird run calls. But, sticking to the run is kind of, I'd say, their identity with these speed options, getting a bit more outside. And so I think that we're going to see a lot more of those. And then their defense is doing just fine, especially taking away the deep ball. Their safety and their secondary is performing at a very high level, eliminating these big plays and just not letting these taller Baker receivers get open. And speaking of my halftime takeaways here, Baker just cannot get anything going on offense and needs to take what the defense gives them and have to be patient even though they're down 2 scores. And so they come out, and I think that you kind of catch that vibe here. First down, not super successful for them, but on second down, they get a quick pass to the snapper that gets the first down and a lot more to the 36. They dial up another quick pass to Zabaleta, who gets another first down all the way inside of Midland territory to the 30-yard line. But they try it too many times, and if you're the defense, third time is a charm because they try another quick pass, but that is going to be intercepted by Farron, number 14 here, and give Midland the ball on the 26. Absolutely just knocking the wind out of Baker here and giving Midland a chance to really put together a drive here. Now, there's little to no return, but the defense was definitely ready for that play. And so on first down, the ball ends up on the turf and it is lost. But the following play, which is a pass left to Millsop, gets to the 32-yard line, setting up 3rd and 8. Farron is motioned out of a receiver spot left into the backfield, and then they run the speed option left with the pitch to Farron helping pick up a first down into Baker territory. Just lots of movement. Loving that speed option that they're running this game, and it is very effective against this Baker defense. Now, they go right back past midfield, the wrong direction here on a drop snap, but they continue to piece together this drive as a quick pass right picks up a few, and an illegal contact penalty on Baker pushes Midland to the 29-yard line. And on the next play, Lopez runs, and there are 4 pitches that eventually lands in Livingston's arms for a first down in the red zone all the way to the 12-yard line. Legit was like, get it to Lopez, pitch back to the quarterback, pitch to the snapper, pitch to Livingston. It was kind of a wild play here. And now from the 12-yard line, Baker's back as against the wall, and yet they bring no rushers. And Ione steps up and throws to Livingston for the touchdown, only for it to be found out that Angel stepped across the line of scrimmage here, negating the touchdown and actually drawing the illegal forward pass penalty, illegal touching here. And so Midland, maybe getting a little bit ahead of themselves, slows it down a little bit here by running the speed option, oddly enough, left to the 7-yard line. It is now 3rd and 7 here, and the speed option right is not super successful. And on 4th down, we have a situation here where Baker really needs to get a stop inside their own 10-yard line, and Midland is probably a little too far to try and run for this score now. On 4th down, it is snapped to Angel. She's looking, assessing the field, and then finds open left center Elia Livingston, who bobbles it but brings it down through the wind for the score here, putting Midland up 18-0 with 4 minutes and 11 seconds to go here. This third quarter drive eating up a ton of time and picking up chunks of yards at just the right time. Baker, now down by 3 scores, needs to get down to business here, and Waller starts off by getting a fresh set of downs running to her left. They then call a quick pass right that gets to the 26, but on the following play, a quick pass is pulled immediately by Nunez, and that sets up 3rd and 9. So 2 quick 5-yard passes, and they're taking what the defense gives them, but they just have to be careful on this. Waller scrambles around and throws back, but it is incomplete. She kind of has to throw it off her back foot across the field here, and that sets up 4th down and 9. Waller rolls out right and sprints towards the next zone, narrowly getting the first down by the skin of her teeth to keep this drive and Baker's hopes alive in this game. Destiny Martinez is on the catch right, setting up 2nd down and 3 on the following play. So a big catch by Destiny here and some moves. And on the next play, 2nd down and 3, the defense might have gotten a finger on it, but it also definitely feels like the pass is dropped. On 3rd and 3, a botched pass will end the third quarter, and Baker is still scoreless heading into the fourth quarter and staring down a 4th and 3 here. Now they have Zabaleta in the backfield, and they call a direct snap to her. It looks like she's going to just try and sprint ahead for the first down, but she drops the snap, and that is an unfortunate turnover on downs. Definitely an interesting choice here. I don't know if Waller had a stinger or something between the 3rd and 4th quarter, but I definitely think that Waller has been your go-to athlete who's picked up 2 clutch first downs on this drive, and to not have her getting this snap is definitely an interesting choice here, IMO. And so with the turnover on downs, Midland is now on their own 27-yard line, and they are in bleed clock mode. They call a pitch right on an option that sets up 2nd and 2, so that's a pickup of about 11 here. And then on the very next play, they call a quick pass right that picks up a first down. That pass is caught by Butler here. Now, while the first down pass is sailed over the receiver's head on an incompletion, they double back to a speed option left. Angela Ione cuts upfield and actually has a ton of green grass ahead of her, but she tries to pitch it for some reason, and when the ball hits the turf, the play dies and is now 3rd and 12. On 3rd and 12, the snap is a little too high going over the quarterback here, and it's a big loss back to their own 38-yard line, and they will be punting with the wind at their backs. Baker starts this drive at their own 17-yard line with 7 minutes and 22 seconds left, down 18-0 here. And after 2 incompletions with a drop thrown in there, it is now 3rd and 3, and they pass it to Destiny Martinez, who stops short of the first down. This was a big flagpole by Mayana Seigers, number 25 of Midland here. And yet Baker, they show some resolve. They call a speed option left here, and the pitch will get a first down. However, they follow that up with a few more drops as the mental errors just continue to short stack like a pancake here from IHOP. And it is now 4th down and 15 all of a sudden for Baker. And they try a deep pass over the middle that is incomplete, but it does draw pass interference. I don't know if it really should have been. I don't think the ball was even remotely playable for the receiver, but a defensive pass interference nonetheless. Sets up the ball at their own 36-yard line, and more importantly, gives them a fresh set of downs. But this drive had 7 minutes and 22 seconds when we started, and we've already bled through like 7 plays. So time is just ticking away here, and it is not talking in the positive direction for the Wildcats. Now, we are under 4 minutes, and the Waller run just got Baker into plus territory on this drive, and, that's play number 8, and over 3 minutes burnt on this clock here. So now 1st down on the 32-yard line going in, and a drop and an incompletion sets up 3rd down where they call a pass back to Zabaleta, who then passes back to Waller, but Eunice Sambale here, number 4 for Midland, makes a diving flagpole that keeps it to 4th and 11 here. Baker calls a timeout with 56 seconds to go, but this pass on 4th down is underthrown, and that is going to be the end of the game. Midland gets one more 1st down here to truly seal it, but I'd say takeaways, Midland, this operation looked very smooth. This team is starting to click and come together at the right time, and I think that they're actually in a spot, with Baker and Kansas Wesleyan here to contend for some interesting seeding here in the KCAC tournament and contend for that 2nd spot probably in the KCAC. I still have not seen enough from probably any of these teams to really doubt Ottawa's ability to win the KCAC, but, I think that the parity between these 3 teams is a lot closer and anything can kind of happen. Granted, I say that despite the fact that Baker just looked completely off today. Bad drops, worse throws, botched snaps, blown coverages, no blitzers. It just was not the kind of game you wanted to have after the coaching and performing masterclass that was the KWU upset. Just not a good encore for Baker here as they do fall to Midland 18-0 here. Now we are going to transition. That is all for the recaps here. But we do have our special segment here where we talk about our Playmaker of the Week here, brought to you by Code Red Coaching here. Be sure to check them out at coderedcoaching.com or check them out on any social media at Code Red Perform or Code Red Coaching. Go ahead and get right here for mental performance with Cody Rosenthal here. Call 720-979-1914 or check out coderedcoaching.com to get your head in the game where the grind to greatness starts with the mind. Once again, that is coderedcoaching.com where the grind to greatness starts with the mind, and they are going to present our Playmaker of the Week. We had a few candidates this week, mainly from the Reinhardt Invitational here. Now, obviously, there were some great performances. I think about Ashley Clam in Keiser's performance against Ottawa. I also think about Jasmine Roden as well, who had herself quite the weekend. But I'm going to go with the STU defender here. Now, keep in mind, STU goes 4-0 this week against NAIA competition. So that is a great week for STU, and a huge part of that, including the upset that started it all, the avalanche even that started it all, was the STU win over Ottawa University here. And the absolute monster of this game, as notated by Simon, be sure to double back and listen to that full game recap here, is Lanaya Leone here, one of the premier rushers in the entire country here, just getting it done over and over again, constantly harassing Madison Carrera, forcing bad throws, getting sacks, jumping up and forcing tough throws here, and just helping hold this Ottawa offense to one of their most pedestrian performances of the entire season here, as Ottawa only scores 6 points in this game here. STU pulls off the 13-7 upset, like I said, as they were number 6 heading into last week versus Ottawa was the number 1 team heading into this invitational here. But like I said, NAIA Leon was just on some other ish as early as like the third drive here, bringing down pass catchers for short gains here, bringing down pass catchers in the backfield for flag poles for loss, getting sacks for loss, of preventing a run game from ever really happening, getting deflections on early downs, setting up third and longs, like multiple pass deflections in this game, multiple sacks, multiple flag poles for loss. And Simon made it very abundantly clear that for the player of this game, both watching it and in the post-game recap, which once again, go ahead and give that a listen, that NAIA Leon was the player of this game. And I'm always fiending to get it to a defensive player. Defense wins championships is the saying. And, I think that NAIA Leon would be a huge reason for STU to make a deep run in the end of season tournament. And she did exactly that against the defending champs, nonetheless, interfering with everything and just being an absolute game wrecker. And so, your Playmaker of the Week for Week 5 in NAIA flag football action is going to be NAIA Leon out of St. Thomas University. And that Playmaker of the Week is brought to you by Code Red Coaching. Once again, check out coderedcoaching.com, where the grind to greatness starts with the mind. And now we have our power rankings. This is going to be the most roller coastered of the power rankings. This is the most shakeup that we've gotten. And that's what happens when you get a lot of games in 1 week here. But basically what happens is that Simon, myself, and Gino rank all the teams 1 through 20, and then those have a score assigned to them. And so the composite score is what determines the rankings. I'm going to start from the bottom and just talk about the teams and where they moved from, and then if there were any comments on those teams here from any of us. Now, talking about week 5 here, we have at number 20, we have Bethel here. And for this squad, it was definitely, just a week off, honestly. So nothing too crazy for this team at this time. And none of us really had anything to say about them. And then at the 19 spot, we still have Graceland. We still have not seen this team yet. No one really said anything other than Coach V, who asked, will they have a season? I'm sure that's kind of where it's at, honestly, for this squad, where their games just continue to get postponed. Myself and Coach V had them at 19. Gino had them at 20. Now, we're starting to finally get a little bit of movement here. Cottey is down to 18. This is one of the biggest drops of the week as they drop 5 spots. I know that I punished them pretty hard, but let's go ahead and talk about where everyone has them. Simon has Cottey at 17, saying, quote, Cottey went from playing Midland close 12-6 to losing to St. Mary by a couple scores. It looks like they are still figuring out their offense, which is putting their defense in some tough spots and situations on the field often. Their inconsistent play can be viewed in both negative and positive lights, but for now, they slide down a couple spots for me as other teams to begin to put it together on a more consistent basis, end quote. So when you look at Coach V from week 4, he had Cottey at the 14th spot, and now they're down to 17 for him. And then for Gino here, Gino had Cottey at 13 last week here, and now has them at 18, saying, quote, that loss to St. Mary has to be soul-crushing for Cottey. They just don't have a lot going for them at the moment, and for that reason, they slide down to 18. And I have to say a lot of the same. Look, Cottey for me was in that 13th spot, and, I felt like they were playing good teams close, but watching that game, they really didn't get anything going into the second half, and by that point, it was already too late, and their defense was basically a sieve for USM here. And USM actually gets to move up a spot from last week. They were our 18th ranked team, but they beat Cottey, and they move up here. And for Simon, a.k.a. Coach V, has them at 16, saying, quote, a big win for USM against Cottey moves them up a couple spots, 2 to be exact. Hopefully they can build on this. And then Gino here has St. Mary at that 17 spot, saying, quote, St. Mary got a surprising, dominating win over Cottey. I like their defense a lot, and if they can continue to fix a few things on the offensive side, then they might be able to rise a couple more spots as the season progresses, end quote. and I recapped the game. Please go ahead and listen to that recap. I had USM at 17. Their offense and Cheyenne Brooks looked really, really good in this game, honestly. And Irvin basically looked unguardable against this Cottey defense. And it wasn't until the second half where USM definitely felt like they let off the gas just a little bit here. And Cottey was finally able to move the ball, spreading them out. But it didn't matter because Cottey couldn't respond by stopping USM on the other side of the ball. So, yeah, I like what Brooks has to offer. I like some of their playmakers like Irvin. We'll just kind of have to see what happens. And they do need to build off of this. And the potential is there, but they need some contributions from some other players, in my opinion. Now, Life here, they are ranked 16th. They don't move at all in our overall rankings. But Simon has Life at 18 here and said, quote, played Campbellsville close, which is a sign they continue to improve. They stay here for me now, as they've shown they can hang with deeper and more experienced teams. Now, Gino has Life at 14, saying, quote, Life moves up a few spots this week. They're an exciting new program, and I expect them to continue to get better each week. So Gino is high on Life, and me, I have them at 16 here. So we have a pretty decent spread of our takes on Life University. I do like that they're competing. I like the athletes that they have as well. They just need to put it all together here. Now, a team that does get a little bit of a jump here following a decent showing this weekend is Point University, who moved up 2 spots in our PMC rankings here. And, let's take a look at Simon, who actually has them at number 12, saying, quote, this team has improved week by week, and some of that paid off this weekend as they lost a close one to Weber, 27-24, and then took down Reinhardt 19-13. They also only lost to Milligan by 2 scores again. This Point team has only improved and has shown their resilience as a young team. This could be a very interesting group of athletes to face when all is said and done after the regular season. End quote. And so Simon has them at 12. Gino has them at 15, saying, quote, with that win over Reinhardt, that gives Point their first win in program history. Talking NAIA, of course. And they look so much better than they did when I saw them in week 1 against Life. So I feel more comfortable moving them up to 15. Myself, I also had Point at 15 as well, which is where they end up landing here. I do think that getting that first win was very, very important. Obviously, losing to Weber in that heartbreak is tough, but Weber is a team that has experience coaching and, just has been around that have those chops. So to be able to hang with that squad, I think is very important for Point. And I think that they're still trying to piece it together as far as whose role is what. And I think that they're getting a little bit closer to that to make them a bit better. Now, this is kind of a weird one here because Campbellsville didn't necessarily have the best showing at the weekend, but I think that just certain teams dropping kind of opened this up here. Campbellsville is tied for our number 13 spot here, and Coach V had them at 14, saying they're one big NAIA win. They take care of Life in overtime, but suffer a tough loss against STU, which is expected. They move up 1 spot, mostly because of the inconsistent play of other teams, end quote. I think that we're kind of talking Cottey on this one. And then Campbellsville for Gino is at 13, saying, quote, Campbellsville's in a tough spot as I think they definitely have a bit of potential, but I don't know if they're going to ever get much higher than 12 or 13 in my rankings after seeing them play. And for me, Campbellsville is in that 13 spot. I think that they have some great athletes, honestly, but like Gino and Coach V kind of said, they haven't really put it all together all at the same time here. I'd love to see them play against the team that they're tied with at the 13th spot, which is Florida Memorial University, who really didn't have a whole lot going on this week, but because of the play of other teams, they move up a little bit. Coach V has them as a top 10 team here, and he had them at the number 10 spot last week as well, which definitely balloons their average. They moved up 1 spot for me, but that's mainly because other teams moved below them, so they were at the 14th spot for myself. They're at the 16th spot here, and Gino is not confident in seeing them rise, but we'll see. So they're tied for 13 here. Number 12, Southwestern. They do drop 1 spot here. Kind of a tough week, and Coach V has them at 15, saying, quote, they fall a couple of spots as other teams ahead of them have found success or at least played teams close. Southwestern hasn't had a close game since the Baker game, And even then, the lack of depth is starting to show and is hurting Southwestern as they play bigger teams who could do more on offense and defense. At least they have a solid core to work with, end quote. Gino has Southwestern at 12, saying, quote, Southwestern's depth continues to fail them as they had another bad loss to Midland this week to completely take them out of my top 10. Granted, they are a new team and are still building their program, so I definitely jumped the gun a bit on their initial high rankings on previous weeks, end quote. And I'm going to disagree just a little bit. I do have Southwestern at my number 12 spot, but I do think that they earned it and they were hot and they were on fire to start the season when they were fresh. Now, when I look at their sideline during the broadcast and I only see 3 players on the bench, that just spells disaster. Flag football is a long season. There's a lot of games. You have invitationals. You have tournaments where you're playing 2 games, 3 games in a weekend, and that's just going to be so hard to accomplish with 10 players here. They have a great start. They have amazing talent to get the ball rolling here, but they just do not have the depth, I think, to be like a contender in the KCAC or anything like that here. So I would not be surprised if we see their slide continue, but I don't want that to detract from how well they started the season, which I think is more accurate on the team that they're going to be once they have depth and maybe don't have to play as many people both ways here. Now, moving on, we have Reinhardt here dropping 2 spots to the number 11 spot here. Coach V actually has them in the 13th spot, saying, quote, they hosted a great event, and to that I give them credit as this was the best week of regular season flag football. Unfortunately, they lose some heartbreakers like to Weber, 1912, and Point, 1913. This is still a young group of players, but they have shown that they can hang with solid teams. This team will only get better as this season goes on, end quote. Gino has them at the 11th spot here, which is, I'm pretty sure, exactly where I have them as well. Gino and I seeing eye to eye on a lot of these rankings here, saying, quote, Reinhardt stays put this week in my rankings after that loss to Weber and that bad loss to Point. Only reason they don't drop this week is because I still think that they're a better team than the ones below them, end quote. Look, Reinhardt definitely has the talent, but I mean, it's got to be a little frustrating. It's a little frustrating for me not seeing them put it all together, especially at an event that they're hosting. You would hope that they'd be able to get kind of a landmark win. Look, Weber, like I said, very well coached team, and Point, very talented. And Point getting that first win, I think, is a huge kudos to Point, obviously, to get that win, but it also reflects pretty poorly on Reinhardt here, and that will get you out of the top 10. Now, a team cracking into the top 10, moving up 1 spot here, is Milligan here, who had a pretty up and down, but I'd say not an unsurprising tournament here. Simon has Milligan at 11, saying, quote, Milligan played some tough opponents in Keiser and STU, who both took down Ottawa and Milligan, but they also beat Point 25-13, which puts them in the win column. This evens it out for them as they move up a spot for me. This is another young team with potential to be a very tough team once they consistently put it together against high-level opponents, end quote. Gino has Milligan at that 10 spot, saying, quote, Milligan slides into my top 10 after an expected win over Point. They had a couple of tough losses to 2 top 3 teams, but they are still able to slide up after Southwestern dropped out of the top 10, end quote. And I do think that playing those top teams, I'm not going to punish them for losing those games. They even get a touchdown against STU, maybe garbage time, but, getting that experience, building that confidence, seeing what a national contender looks like up close and in person in that level of competition is only going to make you better. So Milligan here definitely doing all of the right stuff and getting into the top 10 for myself at 10 and for us here at PMC. Now, a team that drops a couple of spots here is Baker, who just kind of has a wild week here. Simon has them at 9, and I feel like most of us actually have Baker at the 9 spot, as Simon says, quote, they had an interesting week beating KWU before getting shut out by Midland. This was a tough decision to make considering the choices available with the other teams getting moved around, but I definitely have to punish them for not being able to score against Midland. Their youth showed with this week, but their ceiling is still very high. For now, I have to drop them a spot, but expect some movement in the coming days or in the future. So, yeah, that's Simon's take on Baker here. And now let's we're going to jump to Gino here, who has them at 8, saying, quote, a 30-28 upset over KW is flat out awesome. This new squad is making some huge noise in the KCAC for sure, but that loss to Midland keeps them at 8 in my power rankings this weekend. And having watched both of these games, it was really a tale of two different teams for Baker here. Baker, honestly, played pretty good through 3 quarters, but that 4th quarter against KWU was some of the best performing football here on both sides of the football, getting stops on defense when they needed to, getting huge chunks of plays from a variety of contributors here. Waller looked really, really good in that KWU upset, and they just coached their tail off here. And then against Midland, I don't know if it was the 26-mile-per-hour wind, but one of those teams was able to figure it out, and Baker just can't get the wind in their sails in that game, losing 18-0 and just making a handful of very bad mental errors, very bad drops, very bad miscues here. I don't know if they were just feeling themselves and didn't lock in following that KWU win, but this is a good lesson for a younger program to learn that it doesn't matter who you beat in one game because you could lose to anybody the next game here. Granted, Midland isn't just anybody, and we'll talk about that in just a moment, but that Baker team does land at the number 9 spot, dropping 2. And they basically do a do-si-do with the team that they lost to on Sunday. Midland jumps up 2 spots from 10 to number 8 here. And Coach V says, quote, this Midland team should be feeling very good moving forward as the Baker and Southwestern wins showed the value of experience. This is one of the most experienced teams in the country, and they have proven that they are a top 10 team at the very least. It'll be interesting to see how they approach the rest of the season, but for now, they should feel good. So that's Simon's take on Midland at 8. Gino here with Midland at 9 says, quote, Midland has proved me wrong as I had them a spot under Southwestern last week, but after they flat out dominated Southwestern this Saturday and shut out Baker as well, they move up to 9 in my power rankings as I am liking their defense a lot. And having watched that game, I have Midland at the number 8 spot. I love to see just their offense kind of coming in, and I think that part of it is just like the program is finally stabilizing with the movement at coach, and they're finding their identity on offense and defense here, getting great flag pulls from a handful of contributors here. Nunez has been playing very, very well on both sides of the football here, and Angel Ione has looked pretty clean, making lots of good decisions and showing her arm strength to a bit more capacity. Probably one of the strongest arms in the country, honestly. She made some throws into the wind on high velocity here to get some touchdowns against Baker. And I think that this team should only continue to play better as their chemistry, cohesion, and coaching kind of all align and the stars get it together. Now, in the number 7 spot, moving up 1 spot, is Weber here. They won some pretty close and intense games, and Simon has Weber actually at 6, saying, quote, this team won some close games against Reinhardt and Point, which were solid wins, but they do move down a spot with another team in the KCAC earning a bigger win that moves them ahead of Weber specifically. He might have been talking about the Sun. Not entirely positive. But anyways, while Weber won, it doesn't change the fact that it feels like at times that they are just barely getting by instead of dominating. As they return to Sun Conference play, we'll see where the ceiling of this team lies. And Gino has Weber at 7, saying, quote, they get a nice win over Reinhardt, but they still fall back a spot for me after some upsets happened in the other regions here. So I have Weber at 7, and I think that the way Simon put it is perfect. They are winning football games, which is what you want to do, what you want to accomplish. I think that coach is coaching his tail off right now for this Warriors team. They're getting some contributions from some younger players. Sam Wilson is still doing her thing, and she's getting multiple receivers involved, which is going to be very important as they return to Sun Conference play and as they try and turn their attention towards getting a spot in the national tournament. It's going to be really important for them to get everyone involved and make sure that, they get a handful of contributors to keep up with some of these other teams here. Caitlin Sigmundi is one of the best defenders in the country, honestly, and, they're going to benefit from that. But winning these close games is a good thing, but also you worry when they, play teams close that are ranked in the double digits here. So we'll see how they fare and if they can at least keep it close against some of these powerhouses ahead of them. KWU is in our next spot here at number 6. They do drop one spot here. Simon has Kansas Wesleyan at 7 saying, quote, KWU drops. They got upset by a first-year program. This wasn't even a horrible game for them, and they were in control for a lot of that matchup. But at the end of the day, a loss is a loss, even if it's a close one. While talented, deep, and well-coached, this KWU team still needs to iron out some wrinkles if they hope to finally dethrone Ottawa, end quote. Gino here, Kansas Wesleyan at 6 saying, quote, that loss to Baker is slightly concerning, but I'm going to keep the Coyotes at 6 this week because I'm still confident in their team as a whole. Plus, Baker got shut out by Midland. Fair enough. I have KWU at number 6, which it sounds like basically KWU dropped like one spot for most of us in our rankings, and so they drop in the PMC rankings. Look, they were, like Coach V said, they were in control for a lot of that Baker game, and, just some really weird miscues, a handful of drops takes them out of this game. And I think that they just have to be a little bit more mentally sharpened and tuned in. And I'm thinking that this game against Baker, and once they get their hands on the film, I think that they're going to be improved and a lot more locked in heading into, the KCAC contending part of their season here. At least that's my hope for this squad, who just had like blown coverages and it was just really weird to watch kind of their collapse in the fourth quarter here. But, I feel like that's not the worst team to have that collapse against. I think that Baker is still a solid program, and I think that the Yotes are going to learn from it and with the experience that they have. So now this is the big story of the week, honestly, here. Dropping 4 spots to number 5 was the reigning number 1 team, Ottawa here. Just a brutal weekend here, as recapped by Coach V saying, quote, this is the lowest I have rated Ottawa in the years we have covered them. They suffered the worst weekend in program history, dropping not 1, not 2, but 3 in a row. Granted, it was tough teams in Keiser, Thomas, and STU, but honestly, this was a team that we looked at in the preseason and felt like it was almost a foregone conclusion that they would be contenders, if not the favorites again. If history repeats itself, then they should be due for a 4th national championship. They've never won a national championship without first losing to the Sun Conference champs. But these losses felt and looked different from those past seasons. Hopefully they figure it out, because this fall can potentially continue with games against KWU and Baker looming here in the next 2 weeks. We'll truly see what they're made of based on how they respond from here on out. Gino here has Ottawa also at 5, saying a pretty drastic fall from grace for the Braves as they drop all the way from 1 to 5 in my rankings this week. They got straight up stomped in the Reinhardt Invitation with bad losses against both Thomases and an embarrassing showing against Keiser as well. Not the best way to represent the KCAC, if you ask me, end quote. So Gino, bringing it harsh here for the defending champs, but Ottawa does also drop the 5 with me. The loss to STU was probably the best that they looked, which is kind of weird. But it just sounds like their offense was pretty dysfunctional this week. Not really playing to the ceiling of their powers. Didn't sound like Orsburn was in as much as maybe she should have been to, close the gap and be that X factor on offense in that utility spot. And Carrera just seemed to be really off and bothered by these Sun Conference rushers. I mean, the Keiser game, that's just tough. This defense was on the field for a ton of that game. And I mean, Keiser just feasted Ashley Clam, having one of the best games of her life. Just a tough week for Ottawa. And then you'd hope that after dropping those 2, they might be able to bounce back against Thomas. But Thomas could smell the blood in the water and helped finish stomping out that weekend here and sending Ottawa home without a win against the top Sun Conference teams and dropping them behind all of them. St. Thomas here is our number 4 team, moving up 2 spots in our rankings from number 6, overtaking K-Dub and Ottawa here. Simon has St. Thomas at 4, saying, quote, STU tallied a huge win against Ottawa 13-7 early in the Invitational when they were their most confident. This defense continues to make big-time plays and produce turnovers no matter who they play against. While defense wins championships, it doesn't change the fact that this offense has not operated to its full potential enough this season. They've really benefited from the short fields that their defense provides, but eventually as the season goes on, the offense will need to pull their weight if they want to truly contend. But for now, they move back into the top 4 for me, end quote. Now, Gino here, just a little bit higher on St. Thomas, saying, quote, another team that showed Ottawa what the Sun Conference is all about, St. Thomas is rolling right now as they move into my top 3 after a great showing in the Reinhardt Invitational. And I have, end quote, I have St. Thomas at the 4 spot. And like Simon said, great to get a win against the defending champs. Great performance. I mean, they have the Playmaker of the Week in NAIA Leon. So, they have a lot going for them. However, this offense's inconsistency, no matter who they play, that spells trouble to me. They just have not shown the ability to really make big plays, make consistent drives, or, create their own offense, really, from their own side of the field. That was evident in the game against Warner that they played that I watched earlier this season. And, it's pretty evident against Ottawa here. Ottawa, a great opponent, of course, but man, you just kind of hope that the offense can pull their weight a little bit more. Now, they're able to score in droves here against some lesser teams, but you got to be able to score against the good teams here too. Thomas, number 3, the Nighthawks here, moving up a spot here. And let's go ahead and start with Simon, who says, quote, Thomas also tallied a win against Ottawa to complete their perfect weekend. This weekend was enough to put them back in my top 3 for the first time since week 1, where they fell after losing 13-7 to Warner, which to their credit looks more and more like a quality loss. Thomas looked good against Ottawa, and the 2 TDs they allowed were garbage time TDs that were well defended but were great individual plays. The score does not reflect how dominant and confident Thomas looked in this one against their bitter rivals. Next week, they get to face Keiser in what will prove to be another important weekend for them. Gino has them at 4 here, saying, quote, 3-0 in the Reinhardt Invitational and an absolute domination of Ottawa is more than enough reason to move the Nighthawks into my top 4. Alexa Wilson might just be the top quarterback in the country, so I'll see how well she does against Keiser next Saturday. I have Thomas here in the top 3. I've always liked their complementary football and the way that their offense complements their defense. Alexa Wilson looking a bit more seasoned and settling into her role nicely here this season and just playing with a bit more confidence and swagger here, which is definitely what you are going to need to be a national contender here and have that quarterback play be tip top. So Thomas still number 3, but still behind our number 2 who moves up 1, which is Warner here. They do have that head-to-head win. And Simon said, quote, despite not playing this week, they move up with Ottawa, suffering some bad losses. Warner seems to be on a crash course with Keiser for the regular season Sun Conference crown. Lucky for them, they do not play another top 5 opponent until Keiser at the end of the regular season. Gino says, quote, I'm a bit worried what 3 weeks off is going to do to Warner, but they're still undefeated, and that defense might be the best in the country. And I do have to kind of agree with Gino here. I almost had Warner at the number 3 spot just because not playing for as long as they have, I'm like, are they getting healthy? Are they getting rusty? What is it going to be? But, I mean, the performances that they've had this season against top teams have been nothing short of spectacular, and their defense does seem championship caliber, if not the best in the country. So, got to move them up for the simple fact that they didn't really do anything wrong. And then a new number 1 is going to be Keiser here, sliding into that 1 spot, not only having a great weekend, but looking spectacular doing so. Simon saying, quote, Keiser moves to number 1 after an impressive 33-6 win over Ottawa. While they lost a tough one to Florida Gateway the night before, they bounce back and take down the defending national champs in dominating fashion. This offense is the most talented one women's college football has ever seen, and they are not done yet. The defense is extremely underrated, but I have no doubts that they are good enough to win a national championship with. This team may be destined for a national championship, but they will need to go through a number of Sun Conference opponents first, Thomas being the first one up this next Saturday, end quote. Gino said Keiser has established themselves as the top team in the country after putting up a mercy rule on Ottawa and dominating everyone else they play. That offense is flat out scary, and I am excited to see them play Thomas next Saturday, end quote. And for me, I also have Keiser at number 1. Look, you beat number 1, you become number 1, and they didn't just beat, but they just completely dominated in every facet of this game. There were no answers for this crazy passing attack with the likes of Kennedy Foster getting hers and getting to eat, Brennan Ramirez getting to feast on the defense, and then Ashley Clamp. Once you figure out how to bracket those two, Ashley Clamp just becomes such a mismatch here for Keiser. They are just, spoiled. They're way too wealthy. You got to tax the top 1% of this team here who benefits so much from just the multiple weapons that they have. And the defense plays pretty well as well, forcing turnovers and keeping teams in front of them here. And so to recap our power rankings, we got 1 Keiser, 2 Warner, 3 Thomas, 4 St. Thomas, 5 Ottawa, 6 K-Dub, 7 Weber, 8 Midland, 9 Baker, 10 Milligan, 11 Reinhardt, 12 Southwestern. Tied for 13th is FMU and Campbellsville, 15th Point, 16 Life, 17th University of St. Mary's, 18th Cottey, 19th Graceland, and 20th Bethel. Those are all of our power rankings for this week, 1 through 20. And that's going to actually do it for the entirety of the show. Be sure to check out that power ranking graphic anywhere that you follow us on social media, be that Instagram at Playmakers Corner, Twitter/X at Playmaker Corner, TikTok at Playmakers Corner, and be sure to listen to the entirety of this episode and follow, subscribe on all of our platforms, whether that be YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Turn on notifications so you get notified whenever we have new stuff come out. Check out our graphics anywhere that we are on social media. And thanks so much for rocking with us. Thank you for Reinhardt for hosting that awesome Georgia Invitational here. And we will see you guys around. Peace.